Hello, good morning. It's a Friday, the last working day of the week, and you're welcome to the AM News here on the AM Show. My name is Pakwisi Shandov. To a very first story, Medical Superintendent of the Wa Municipal Hospital, Dr. Zakaria Bukari, is worried about the downgrading of the hospital to a primary facility. He says this has led to an increase in maternal and perinatal in the area. Dr. Zakaria spoke after a charity organization under the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission donated medical equipment to the hospital to improve health service delivery.
The Wa Municipal Hospital Medical Superintendent, Dr. Zakaria Bukari, opined that the hospital was left in a precarious situation following the opening of the Upper West Regional Hospital. He said their woes was further worsened by the downgrading of the hospital to a primary hospital with lower tariffs, and yet the challenges at the hospital ballooned.
The first time you came here, we knew the Messiah has come to help us, because it's really a problem. And I have been saying that municipal hospital, according to date of birth, is new, because there was none in this in this region. And then regional hospital is rather the old one, but has moved to a new site. But when they were moving, they never moved with the problems. They never moved with the bad infrastructure. They never moved with a bad attitude. They left it for a new hospital to come and inherit. And the little monies that we generate, because when you move the regional hospital, you are moving a secondary level hospital that has a bigger tariff when you render service. Now we have been downgraded to a primary hospital with lower tariff, but rather our problems are bigger. Having to deal with infrastructural failures, having to deal with obsolete equipment, having to deal with a lot of bad behaviors, and I think that is a very big challenge. Then I think that you came at the right time.
Speaking at a short ceremony where Humanity First, an international charity organization under the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission, donated medical equipment valued at 180,000 Ghana cedis to the hospital, Dr. Zakaria expressed worry over the rise in maternal and perinatal deaths at the hospital within the last 6 months. He, however, was optimistic that with the donation of the specialized medical equipment to the over 60-year-old hospital, it will improve service delivery.
Because the whole region, there's no center that has more deliveries than here. Over just the weekend, we had 80 deliveries. And 80 deliveries is some of the districts, their 1 year deliveries. Even the regional hospital will not get 80 deliveries in a month. So we really get a lot of, and then basic equipments like the fetal Doppler, which is here to help. Then things like a CTG would also help to mothers that are at risk. And we see a lot of sickle cell patients, and drugs like Clexine, and those things are very important. And I think that we want to try to reduce maternal mortality.
Team leader of Humanity First UK Doctors, Dr. Azhar Sadiq, who donated the medical equipment on behalf of Humanity First, is hopeful that the equipment will enable clinicians to give better care to the people.
Notable among these are suction devices, a hearing test machine, fetal heart Doppler monitors, which will be very, very important, glucose monitoring machines, and various types of endotracheal tubes. So, we really hope that the donation of this equipment will allow the clinicians in this hospital to give better care to their patients, and together with the teaching and training that we hope to provide in the coming days, it will be hopefully a good package for them to take forward and to train their other colleagues in the future.
Humanity First is an international charity organization under the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission and is found in 52 countries.
Internal audit committees for the various municipal and district assemblies in the Oti region have been tasked to ensure prudent use of public funds for development. The regional minister Joshua Makubu tasked these committees to reduce infractions that usually bring them in contempt of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. Correspondent Peter Senu was at the ceremony and has more in the following report.
9 committees for the various MDAs in the Oti region and 1 for the regional hospital were inaugurated by officials from the Internal Audit Agency with a call to reduce financial infractions and ensure prudent and judicious use of public funds for development. Eric Youngson is the regional internal auditor. According to him, he wants the various committees to meet the expectations of residents as a new region by way of projects they prioritize.
One of the irregularities that we see recurring in the Auditor General's report between the period 2017 to 2020 is that of payments not being supported with the requisite documentation, and also delayed projects, abandoned projects, completed projects not being put in use. And the audit committee functionality began in 2017, and so with the establishment of the audit committee, we are seeing these irregularities being reduced. That is not to be satisfied or to be complacent about. Still, there is much work to do because this is a new region, and the expectation of the electorates here are very high. They need infrastructure projects, they need good roads, they need cheap compounds, and so many others. And with us having the audit committee in place, it is the only structure that is high enough to ensure that the mandate of the chief executives, go in line with the expectation of the electorate. So basically, that is the essence of the inaugural meeting that we have held today.
The regional minister, Joshua Makubu, also indicated that the committees must work to ensure various infractions that bring the assemblies in contempt of Public Accounts Committee of Parliament are reduced.
Things that bring people to the Public Accounts Committee is not necessarily the fact that people have embezzled funds, but just that some procedures have been breached, certain things were not done right. So my expectation is that the committees will work well so that even if something has escaped the principal spending officer, it has escaped the finance officer, it has escaped the internal auditor, at least the committee will be able to cite it, work together with the coordinating directors and the finance officer, internal auditor, to ensure that those things are regularized, so that we will not have this issue of appearing before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament.
The committees were inaugurated and sworn into office for the next 24 months. Peter Senu for JoyNews.
Let's now turn our attention to the Ashanti region, where some officials of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly and the regional NADMO office are soliciting for funds to buy a new engine for the only fire tender which is broken down for months. The tender, which serves the Central Business District, is no longer serviceable, forcing authorities to fall on that of the Etrima District for emergencies. This challenge is delaying reporting time of the service to emergency situations. Nanaya Ojima has more in the following report.
3 months ago, the fire service was late to a fire at the Central Business District, Kumasi. Love News is learning the delay arose because the KMA fire tender, which was close to the scene, had been grounded due to faulty engine, and the Konfanoche fire tender was responding to an emergency. Authorities relied on the Menshia fire tender, which was far from the incident. Frank Diodu is the regional NADMO director.
The fire tenders that you see, that of KMA, Konfanoche and Menshia, it doesn't serve purposely only KMA then Asokore Mampong, or it doesn't serve the greater Kumasi alone. It goes beyond, depending the magnitude of fire and the strength, they go in support. But it's a huge challenge because recently, about 3 months down the lane, we had a fire at PZ. Konfanoche tender was out on a different service, and they rushed in to call KMA fire tender so that we could go in. They came and the tender was down. By the time Menshia came in, the fire has gotten to a stage that was more uncontrollable, though they were able to bring it down, but it caused a lot of havoc. For KMA main fire tender to come down at the station is a big challenge.
The fire tender serving Achima district now shuttles between KMA and emergencies at the district. Kumasi Metropolitan Fire Service Commander DO3 Thomas Esidu explains the temporary measure has been beneficial.
When we had that challenge concerning our previous fire engine, the regional command took it twice and realized that the intensity and the pressure within the CBD, there should be a fire engine to replace the one who has been in a challenge. So he brought in another fire engine to replace the one that we are talking about. So as I'm speaking, we have a fire engine at place working 100% without any. But as we always say, the one who belongs to you is your own property.
At least 56,000 cedis will be needed to fix the engine, money the assembly is unable to raise. Through the assembly, the fire service and NADMO are seeking support to deal with the problem. The Ashanti Business Owners Association have been the first to respond to the appeal, donating 23,000 out of the 56,000 cedis needed to fix the tender. Charles Kusiapia is Executive Secretary.
Metropolis, and this is not the first time we're doing this. About 2 years ago, we went to Konfanochi to support patients that have been detained. And during the COVID-2, we play a role in supporting the government in alleviating the plight of the disadvantaged in the society. So this top up to the things that we have set to do. So that influenced what we did. Yes, as I said earlier on, Ashanti Business Owners Association is purely a trade association. We want to see we change the narratives of doing business in Ashanti region to support members so that they can do business beyond today.
For JoyNews, Nanaya Ochima reporting.
Now to the central region, the Cape Coast Metropolitan Security Council is set to clamp down on those who wind sand and others who openly defecate at the beaches of the city. Metro Chief Executive of Cape Coast, Ernest Atath, says this has become necessary due to the devastation and embarrassment such activities are causing to the people of Cape Coast. At a media engagement in Cape Coast, the Metro Chief Executive also announced measures to rid the city of criminal activities. Yes, Richard Kojonyako's report.
At a media briefing by the Metropolitan Security Council, the Mayor of Cape Coast, Ernest Arthur, sent a strong signal to sandwinners at the beach and those who defecate at the beach. He indicated the Security Council will wage war on such characters.
The reason why we are gathered today is actually an intended operation again, this time around, with regards to sand winning in the metropolis. More often, you hear people say, we were not told, there was no information, we were not guided, no public education. And so this time, we are calling this briefing, this press briefing, to send a certain signal to those who are engaging in sand winning and open defecation along the beaches of Cape Coast. That is from Ekwan down through Amanfo to Bakano and then Duakol area. That very soon, we are not giving any specific date, very soon, the Metro Security Council will be embarking on a very serious operation. So we are, by this medium, appealing to each and every one, whether directly or indirectly, engaging in sand winning, to desist from it immediately.
It's not only sand winning and open defecation that has become a concern to the Metropolitan Security Council, but unauthorized use of tricycles, popularly known as pragya, excessive noise making and others.
Now, the chairman of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU branch in the region, has been interdicted by the National Executive Council of the GPRTU for financial malfeasance and other behaviors inimical to the growth of the union. An investigative committee put in place to look into his activities alleges that the chairman had embezzled nearly 400,000 Ghana cedis belonging to the union. At a news conference in Cape Coast, the national chairman of the GPRTU, Nana Nimako Ben Isiama, asked the regional chairman to refund the money he's embezzled or they will take him to court. Richard Kwejenyanko once more.
3 regional executives of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, including the regional vice chairman, first and second trustees, in a petition called for an investigation into the activities of the regional chairman. According to them, the chairman had no regard for the constitution of the organization which he leads. They say apart from acting illegally, the chairman is said to have used monies from the office of the union for his personal gains. National President of the GPRTU, Nana Nimako Ben Isiama, at a news conference indicated a prima facie evidence of his financial malfeasance has been established and he's been interdicted forthwith.
The committee found him that he neglected his trustees. The work of the trustees to look upon everything of the union so that in their own custody, they should correct monies and keep it in the banks. We find him guilty that as a chairman, he has no right to go out and take money from the unions. But he neglected the trustees and do that by his own. Under the recommendation of the committee, the NEC approved that we should throw him away. So he's no more the regional chairman of this area. He gave him ample time to express himself. The committee gave him every necessary support so that he can express himself. So upon his own speeches and everything, the committee found him guilty of what he said.
Acting Central Regional Chairman of the GPRTU, Ignatius Mensah, encouraged his members to be vigilant and refer such matters to the welfare committees for redress.
You have welfare, so if there's any problem, they will just inform us, then you will step in. You can't just get up and get there unless you get information from them. So there's a problem here. So the moment they tell you there's a problem there, you have to follow up to solve that problem, what they encounter there. You follow up, visiting them and see what is there. So if they have any problem, you can even come to the region and tell us so that you find solution to it.
Reporting for JoyNews, Richard Kwejenyanko, Cape Coast.
That's all time would allow us to have a pleasant weekend. My name is Pakwesi Shandoff, but for now, the show continues with Benjamin and Bernice. And here we are, it's a Friday morning and it's Brace, Bernice and Benjamin serving you the newspapers this morning. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
You guys are looking all dashing and I was just analyzing your diagonal
we take
artwork
inspiration from you.
And the thing over the pocket.
Please, we take inspiration from you. Thank you.
But thank you very much.
Did you go to any fashion school?
Did I?
No,
or
he. The way he's
got
analyzing
what you're wearing. But it's a lovely
I just like
shirt.
the overlay. So, no. As for Bernice,
but I didn't know of any overlay. Me just
you just picked
But I do love your outfits. Mine though is Obibi, what are you wearing? I'm wearing Catherine Gordon of Catherine Garments. Later I'll be telling you more about it.
Oh, okay. I'm wearing the name is Attila Couture. Is that it? Attila Couture.
Oh, nice.
Dansuman, Mames E. That's where he is, yeah.
Okay.
Action.
And Bernice is wearing Bernice Couture.
Yeah.
Memoir. Aha. For all your fashion.
Contact Bernice.
Okie doke, let's get into the papers, guys. Unless there's anything you'd like us to get into before the papers.
The other day, you really, did me in.
Right.
I didn't match up to your standard.
I obliterated your singing.
Oh yes, I will accept it. But just that the fact is that my anthem is still more nice.
Are we coming to sing on the show?
No,
please,
we are
I beg
not.
you.
Bernice, we are not.
Do you want us to do this again?
I told him that I have a lawyer. And that lawyer is you.
Wow.
Yeah, so you are here today.
Okay, so
over to you.
What's my job?
So what do you think? You sang the UCC anthem. No, I sang the UG anthem.
I don't want her to sing the
Should
UCC
we sing
anthem.
the GIJ anthem?
Bernice, can you?
Why are you putting me on the spot?
Should we Google it for you so that
No,
you do a
I can sing the GIJ anthem, but right now it's become quite an interesting thing to start your show with music. So I don't know if you want me to do that today, but Ghana Institute of Journalism, GIJ for short, in the name. I know the song. Oh, the Lord knows.
No. We're going to Google. It's not about knowing the words. We will Google that for you. It's about the rendition. Because this man here.
There's another song we started the show that's trending. Let's allow that to finish. The trend said, when it's dying, I'll come and do my song.
You've murdered him.
That's all that I want.
All right, that's good.
I'll not contest. Let's now get to the hymnal of the newspapers. No, I think we should start with...
Yes, okay, so let's start with the story on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Very interesting one. 1,000 Nigerian illegal immigrants repatriated after Ghana-Niger authorities agreement. And it comes along with some photos of them. And I saw this.
We've seen this circulating over the last
Hausa.
2 or so days.
So the Ghanaian Times credits BBC Hausa for that particular photo. I'll get into the details of the story shortly, but let me bring you other stories on the front page. Standards Authority bill critical to industry growth. That's according to Alexander Afenyo Marking. And businessman shot, set ablaze with car at Pusiga. DC condemns crime, calls for probe. This week has been bad.
It has.
This week
from the mobile money operators to this one, to the media person, it's just been horrific.
And man 25 jailed 45 years for robbery. Do the math.
Yeah.
Spending.
I saw it somewhere, I think on my online. No, one paper yesterday, and I was just looking at his face and thinking, how are you going to do this? 25 years, a quarter of a century in the camp.
No, he's going to do 45.
He's actually 25 and he's doing
45. He's going to do 45.
So he'll spend his prime there. But this story interests a lot of Ghanaians because many people have complained about the nuisance on our streets, you know, where people are looking into your vehicles, invading your privacy, pulling at your shirts when you're working. It's quite uncomfortable. Let me be honest, Ghanaians...
And don't you forget, sometimes scratching your car when you refuse to give them money.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they do that.
So, I mean, Ghanaians are very loving people. We are hospitable people. People say that all the time. But it appears a lot of people are getting fed up with the activities of these street beggars. Now, let me bring you details of that story about the 1,000 Nigerians being repatriated. And it's a story by Jonathan Donko about 1,000 Nigerian immigrants living illegally in Ghana, including those who beg on the streets of Accra and its environs, have been rounded up and sent back home. This is a good one. Remember, we had a conversation about streetism, and we know there was an agenda by the Gender Ministry to get them off the streets. And we had a conversation. We're trying to follow up on the promise and why we still see children on our streets. So this one, I'm sure, would excite a lot of people. Now, the people comprised both adults and children, and they were repatriated in 2 batches on Wednesday via chartered flights arranged by the Nigerian government. This was after they were mobilized and camped at the Achimota news station in Accra for about 4 days for registration and processing. Now, let me jump to another part, the concluding part of the story. The deportation comes weeks after hundreds of Nigerian migrants who were begging in the streets of Dakar were repatriated to their country. So this is not only a Ghana problem, guys. They are in many African countries. According to a report by AFP, published on March 27, the flight chartered by the Nigerian government with 580 people, including many children, arrived at the capital airport. The image of our country is dragged in the mud, and that's why the government wants to take this phenomenon in hand, said the Nigerian Minister of Interior, Amadou Aduma Sule, at the foot of the plane's gangway. For me, this is good, but what's the point if you're repatriating them yet they're still finding their way back into the country? Then it's back to square one. So we hope that our authorities,
like pouring water on stone,
are also securing our borders and ensuring that once they go back to their country, they're not allowed to, you know, come back illegally. That's the thing. We are a peace-loving country, and once you're coming here legally, we don't have a problem.
So it's about mechanisms to safeguard against what we're making and sending them back to their country. Whether we can do that. On my way, I think I saw. We will still have some Ghanaians who are also
begging on the streets. Yes. So there is a general plan to end streetism and street begging. But I think that this is a good move.
It's a good one.
We just hope that it continues until we are able to get. It's also about human dignity.
It is, and especially when it comes to children. You know, Child Rights International has had to wade into this entire conversation and how sometimes, apart from the fact that sometimes where children are affected, their faces and images show, the fact that these children, per our law, we should be protecting them. We should keep them away from the hazards of begging on the streets, the hazards of falling prey to pedophiles and all of that. But they are exposed. I hear some of these children, sometimes men would give them, and don't forget that abuse is a two-way street. Sometimes there are women who may also get into this, who will lure them with money. Next thing you know, they are abusing them in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, prior to this, there was a story by our own Justice Bedu, in which one of the young boys was saying that a car ran over his legs whilst begging on the street. So they are exposed to a lot of dangers, and it's important that we take them off the street to protect them. So it's good that we are taking them back to Niger. Like Benny said, we need to ensure they do not come back again to be begging on the street, because then it will be cost 90.
Right. Let's get into some other stories.
Well, let's get into the Chronicle. And because today is Green Ghana Day, let's do this one. It says, Nana Mahama Kufuor lead tree planting today.
Remember what we spoke about?
You know, it's interesting because 2 days ago, was it 2 days ago, when I interacted with the MPs and I was talking about NSS and how 559 is not sufficient. Guess what? Following day, we hear from the Deputy Executive Director that, Gift Your Worry, right? That is going to be pushed up 800. We talk about Charlie link up and Charlie, we should talk more on the show.
You know, the relevance of the platform. All eyes and eyes are on the platform. So it says that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo will today, Friday, June 10, kick-start the 2022 edition of the Green Ghana Day by planting a tree at the Efuasan Park in Accra. Now let me move on to why Kufuor and John Mahama are in the picture. Abojinapo explained that the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, will plant a tree in Tamale, while the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin, and his two deputies will plant theirs within the precinct of Parliament, and the Chief Justice, Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah, will plant a tree within the environs of the Supreme Court. He said other eminent Ghanaians, including former President John Agyekum Kufuor, would plant a tree at Gomoa Nsayim, in the Central Region, while former President John Dramani Mahama will plant in Accra. He said that Asantehene and Yana would plant trees in Kumasi and Yendi respectively, while the National Chief Imam and other eminent clergy would plant in Accra and other parts of the country. So that's how. Yeah.
So we see tree planting on the front page of many of the papers. On the Accra Times, it says Speaker seedling planted, Minister urges Ghanaians to support Green Ghana project. I mentioned yesterday that I was at the presser last year when this was about to be launched, and I remember very well that I asked the question. I asked the minister, while we are planting trees, what are we doing to preserve the existing ones? Because we were doing this because Ghana had lost a chunk of its forest cover. And it was beginning to...
Up to a point, about 60%.
We actually told 80. I mean, at that program, we were told 80%. That's a big problem.
So that's an increment, because you remember some years back, it was 60%. 60, so it means it's getting
there's a lot
eroded
of
even faster.
And it's not surprising when you look at what we're doing with illegal mining in forest reserves and all that. But back to my question, Mr. Minister, that question is still relevant today. What are we doing to ensure that while we are planting trees, we are not losing the existing ones? Because then, once again, it's cost 90. Because you need to preserve what you have so that you can, and mind you, it will take a long time for these trees to grow to the point where we can even call them, a collection of them, a forest or whatever. So it's a long process. So let's ensure, I would love to see, we know later today, we'll be bringing you that program, which will be happening. I would love to see a documentary, a story, some report from the ministry telling us how the trees we planted last year are faring.
So I was going to call for an audit. You know, of how many of the trees that we planted did well and how many didn't. Because we spent money in planting them. If you go throughout Ghana, we did it. How many of them did we, get value out of? How many went bad? So that it would serve as a guide going forward. But if we do it and we don't get a feedback or we don't get anything to tell us, oh, we did 100, out of the 100, 70 did well, 30 didn't, and we're still going about.
Because obviously not all of them would do well. But we need to
we
even know in terms of what we're investing.
Yeah,
because there's a financial end to this.
Yes.
If we've invested so many millions into the project, getting seedlings and all of that, how many are doing well? We should even use that as a learning, it's a learning curve.
Yes.
Oh, so those we planted in this area did not particularly do well.
And
or the people in this community,
why didn't they do well?
Maybe the people in this community did not take better care of them. Do we need to fence them? Do we need to... Without this analysis, we'll not know all of those. And it will just be like, oh, we're pouring water. Is it a basket we're pouring water into? No one knows.
So it's something that we need to do really to understand where we are going and how we have to get there. But if we do it, no audit is done, we don't know anything, any progress report, and then we go about doing it again and again. In fact, it would amount to nothing.
So just a little top up, since it's the same story. The sector minister, Abu Jinapo, also says, and rightly so, I just had to put it in, the Earth is now 1.1 degrees Celsius warmer than it was in the late 1800s.
Oh, yes.
With the last decade being the warmest period. Ice in the Antarctic and glaciers are melting, rain patterns are changing, rivers and streams are drying up, and it's even worse because of Galamsey in Ghana. And sea temperatures are rising, he stated. So even more reason for us to watch it. Because I always say, look, when you look at the global patterns, in terms of our natural resources, in terms of our climate and all of that, we are losing a lot of these pretty fast. The polar ice is melting pretty fast. And guess what? The rest of the world, especially the West, has industrialized, on the back of polluting the atmosphere, let's put it bluntly. And we are now trying to industrialize as Africa, but guess what? Because of our temperate, where we find ourselves, and not temperate, tropical, temperatures, we find ourselves in a bit of a catch-22 situation, to develop or not to develop. It's like caught between a rock and a hard place. So we must really manage this, because in the end, we will suffer the brunt of it.
And again, we need to remind them that once upon a time, there was this, if you cut a tree, you plant two.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
What became of that initiative? Because that should serve as a learning, another learning curve for us. That if we said, if you cut a tree, plant two, how did we do it such that we're losing more of our forest cover than we have ever done? So that once we are doing planting, planting trees, we won't lose sight of the fact that once we are planting them, we need to look at how we can, protect the environment and protect the trees we are planting. But there's another story in the Chronicle says the Takoradi fake kidnap victim appeal fails. You remember there were too many fake kidnapping stories in Takoradi in 2021. One of them was convicted. The lady who connived with two other people to take money from her father. She was convicted and then she had to appeal, but the appeals court said no. I'm still going to stand by.
But why would you want to do that? I mean, of all the ways to make money, why would you want to do that?
People have different reasons.
Knowing that at that time, the issue of kidnapping was very topical. I mean, we had just dealt with the back and forth on the Takoradi girls, and then there were more concerns that more people were getting missing, especially within that part of the country. And then you come up and you pull such a hoax. I mean, I think it's very inappropriate. But we need to highlight this story so that people will know. It also reminds me of a story I saw quite recently about a young man who had connived with robbers to attack his own father.
Yeah, it was a stepfather.
A stepfather.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, and I think, is it not the one who had actually given him a car that he was using as a cab or something, and yet the man had come in from outside of town and he felt he wasn't giving Oba or POP. Make them question.
You want to bring us more details?
Yeah, because I just want to bring a close to it. It says, according to the High Court judge, the Circuit Court judge correctly exercised the conviction and the sentence was within the sentencing regime. He, however, exercised his discretion by reducing the sentence from 6 years to 5.
Let's do the daily guide quickly. Today is Green Ghana Day, the banner headline. Standards Authority seeks new law. Fisheries Ministry outdoors premix fuel machines. That's on page 6. And Baumia launches no guarantor student loan policy. There's also resume wearing of face masks. Let me start with that one. The Ghana Health Service has urged the public to go back to the wearing of face masks in light of the reported emergence of new strains of the COVID-19 Omicron variant currently in circulation across the country. Addressing the media Wednesday, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji, recommended the wearing of face masks in schools, churches, and other enclosed areas as a means of curtailing the spread of the virus. Of course, we also have monkeypox in the system, and that is another thing that we need to take stock of. Ghana gets $145 million World Bank support to improve urban services, and more violence feared in Nigeria as elections approach. And we know now that, listening to the BBC this morning, about 40 people, though initially we had heard reports that 50 were wounded in Sunday's attack on a Catholic church in Owo in southeast Nigeria. Other interesting stories. You want to
talking about elections, there's this one on page 5 of the Ghanaian Times. Kenya Audit finds 250,000 dead people on voters' roll. I'm just wondering why there's no, well, maybe that's where we're pushing to go digital. And you know,
systems.
Yeah.
It's basically systems.
So when somebody dies, you get a death certificate, don't you? Can't we make these things interrelated so that once a death certificate is issued, there and then there should be a process to take the person's name out of
that is exactly the problem. You
know, let's just take it out, because I mean, whose job is it really to determine that? I know in Ghana, for example, we are admonished to come and report or give details on dead relatives and all that.
But admonishing,
how many people do it?
The point is, people will die every day. People who are registered voters will die every day, likely. In a country with a population of about 31 million, someone who is a voter would die every day. That person, we must have a system that is able to identify that. SMSE has passed on to glory. Their name is removed. Eventually, you'll have people coming to replace them, new 18-year-olds and all of that. Once you don't have such a system, these things will happen.
And it's interesting because we heard the Vice President talk about that initiative to get babies onto the system as early. So, I mean, if you visit government hospitals, if you've been there even 4, 5, 6 times, once you get there, you're told to re-register your baby or your child, because this is the government initiative. So I know that it's happening. Maybe we should look at it on the other side when people die and death certificates are issued, how we can take them
out. But I think it was one of the things we were looking at. That's why at a point in time we used the Ghana card, the data to do the voters register. I think that will be the accurate way to get a lot of people who are no longer with us out.
At least if the Ghana card passes the test from the cradle to the grave, we'll know what is happening. But just to wrap with some international stories and do one little bit on entertainment in less than a minute. House passes gun control bill after New York, Texas deaths, and the House in the United States passed a wide-ranging gun control bill Wednesday in response to recent mass shootings in Buffalo, New York, and Uvalde, Texas, that would raise the age limit for purchasing a semi-automatic rifle and prohibit the sale of ammunition magazines with a capacity of more than 15 rounds. And I feel this is a step in the right direction. The Republicans have their own take on this matter in terms of gun control, but I'm happy some progress is being made. President Ramaphosa...
The hearing was really chilling. The sort of testimonies
people
give at the hearing. Yeah. I listened to one where a guy, like a couple, had lost their 10-year-old girl.
It's been pathetic. It also is pathetic. You know, they're also doing the one on Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill, the assault post the election and all of that. But President Ramaphosa grilled in Parliament on farm theft. And in the middle page, Nikki Samona is looking for a guy who...
A guy who does what?
Moans. Timaya also says, I won't marry, just as Jesus did. But Timaya, so all the... Okay, you make a left up.
No, that's a story that I'm interested. Tyler Perry wooed into building studio in Ghana.
It's been in the papers for... They're trying to get him to come and do...
Will he come?
Yeah.
What is the potential of our movie industry? Would he be able to recoup and make profit on his investment?
Maybe he will sell.
I was telling someone, no, I think, look, and I'm going to be blunt about this. I think that our local business people should be seen to be investing in the local movie industry before people outside can come and do stuff. And I'm not saying that Tyler Perry will or will not. This is my opinion. Look, take the Nigerian movie industry, for example. I can give you a couple of movies. I just don't want to promote them here. But go onto Netflix. Watch any of the top Nigerian movies there. when you see the scenes that begin the movie, when they're giving credit, there are banks dedicated to the investment of the Nigerian. No wonder they're getting where they're getting. Local people are heavily supporting it. What's happening here? Is it that our creatives are not giving investors enough reason to invest? Because that's the other angle. Because someone says, I don't see the potential. Or our business people are not as daring, if I may put it, to put their money into the creatives. It's something we should look at. But, well, let's see. Will Tyler Perry come? Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah, especially when you watch movies and you see a ghost with a shadow. It paints quite a picture. But let's get into some. Let's get into some more.
That got me. Let me ghosts are not supposed to have shadows,
Let me do the daily graphic. There's a story there on page 13. It says a Greek revival rests with Bank of Ghana. So, like, she's talking about the local bank supporting the local film industry in Nigeria.
Right.
The Ghanaian policy advisor behind Nigeria's successful rice production, Abraham Juma Odum, I hope you remember him, has called on the Bank of Ghana to support the agricultural sector with funding and technical expertise to help revamp the sector. He's always been arguing that what the Nigerians did was with the heavy support from the Central Bank of Nigeria. And therefore, if Ghana wants to replicate it, the Bank of Ghana should lead it. So let's see how the Bank of Ghana will take this advice from a man who has done it for Nigeria and see where we'll get to.
I have one last story, but I think, Bernice, I'll let you come through.
Go ahead.
All right. So let's do the Herald newspaper. There's this story there, especially because Sam Okujeto, no, not Sam Okujeto, Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, Sam George, has been talking extensively about it. So it says LGBTQI billboard on Tema motorway pulled down. And city authorities have pulled down a billboard supposedly promoting LGBTQI activities on the Accra Tema motorway. The Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, Sam George, disclosed this in a Facebook post. He said the billboard was pulled down after a media engagement with city authorities. And Sam George and some of his colleagues, MPs, including Roxanne Nelson, Eche Dafia Mekpo, Member of Parliament for South Dai constituency, had issued a 24-hour ultimatum to authorities to pull down the billboard, which he described as illegal. That's my final story.
Dennis, you have a final one?
Well.
Anyway, let me bring this one on the Green Ghana Day. Richard Kunyako, our guy in Central Region, says the Catholic Archdiocese of Cape Coast has also called for the payment of carbon credit to those who are protecting Ghana's forest reserve.
That's an interesting move that globally the West is using for companies and entities, you know. And some countries can even sell their carbon credits so that if you are polluting more, you can pay them and take their credits and pollute.
Let us also bring in Achimota Forest anyway, because today some of the trees were planted there.
In fact, the last time when we started, I remember Dr. Joyce Aye and a couple of diplomats were at a certain portion of the land in the Achimota Forest to plant. Maxwell Ababa was there. He did that interview. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up today.
And I saw those trees when I went there.
Yeah. Oh, you saw them?
Yeah, the trees they planted.
No, are they doing well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is a good thing.
So,
we should also do this. We should, maybe the system isn't doing it, but we should be able to go and monitor some of these and find out what was planted. So two quick things before we end. But we have this birthday to do. Let's do that.
So, a very happy birthday to you, Nana Jechi Enim III. You are Dentra Amuafu Hene and Dentra Abakoma Hene. And God richly bless you and give you long life and most importantly, good health. This is coming from your children and your grandson, who is standing right in front of me behind that camera. Ankuma, we wish you a very happy birthday, sir. Do enjoy your day.
All right. And let me just do this. I want to salute Catherine Gordon, who fits me out like this. If you want to be fitted out like this, just reach out to her on 0277 580050. She's located at Medina New Road near the Rolling Circle. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get into sports, how many papers do you have there?
3.
And you?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. I will them to you forever. Let's get into sports.
Mischief.
You won't wheel your car to us.
I will take the papers forever. Welcome back on the AM show. Call this a novelty. This morning I'm going to be sharing with you my blunt thoughts, my take, if you like, on the problem of leadership in Ghana, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, you see what I do have behind me. I'll get to that shortly. But the problem of leadership in Ghana, while it did not start today, is indeed so big, fellow Ghanaians, that I do not even know where to start. From religion to politics, traditional leadership, our system is a big mess. For today, however, as I reflect on two topical matters arising from discussions this week, I shall focus on our botched asset declaration regime, together with the unpopular construction of a national cathedral. But I ask, what do you have to hide? Yes, you. What do you have to hide? Maybe not much, but some of our leaders apparently may have a whole lot to hide. But as God's word tells us in Luke 8:17, all that is secret will eventually be brought into the open, and everything that is concealed will be brought to light and made known to all. Let's start with the declaration of assets by public office holders. In Ghana, two main laws regulate asset declaration: Article 2861 of the 1992 Constitution and Public Office Holders Declaration of Assets and Disqualification Act 1998, that is Act 550. Article 2861 states that public office holders, including the President, Vice President, the Speaker, Deputy Speaker of Parliament, as well as ministers and deputy ministers of state, ambassadors, the Chief Justice, it goes on and on, shall submit to the Auditor General written declarations of all property or assets owned or liabilities owed by them, whether directly or indirectly. The Constitution, however, forbids public disclosure of the assets declared by the public officers concerned unless demanded as evidence by a court of competent jurisdiction, a commission of inquiry or more, under Article 287, that is 278, or before an investigator appointed by the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. Act 550, on the other hand, provides the framework and guidelines for assets declaration in Ghana as a tool to combat corruption among public office holders. Pretty clear, right? But obviously not clear enough for most of our leaders. From the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu, to Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, and many more. Our leaders appear to be flouting these rules with impunity. While some of those mentioned, like the Vice President, declared their assets the first time in 2017, there remain problems with declarations post the first term and at the start of the second term. The question is, why? What may they have to hide? And why are those meant to be at the forefront of upholding our laws rather abusing them, subverting them? Why are those who purport to solidly represent democracy now those violating everything we actually stand for as a people? Is it because they mean to reap where they have not sown, taking from the very mouths of the hungry and stuffing their own pockets instead? Who knows? But Ghana, it simply beats my imagination just how sloppy we have been in holding the feet of our leaders to the fire of accountability. And yes, I admit that even the media in some way has failed too. We've done something, no doubt, but not enough to change the script of the constant creating, looting, and sharing, the rot that has characterized our fourth Republican democratic experiment. We live in a democratic dispensation, yes, but we all know that in this country, some are primus inter pares, first among equals, more human than others. If not, why would some rot in jail for petty offenses, while those who walk the corridors of power get away with blatant corruption? If you're in power, you're a sacred cow, you're a demigod, an untouchable breed. You're basically faultless. It is that same gall that gave chairman of the MPP, Freddie Blay, to tell us recently, Okafuo-Didi, in respect of a national cathedral project, with let's cut all the sugarcoating here. The vast majority of Ghanaians, especially Christians, consider an unnecessary project, at least at this time and in our economic circumstances. You raise down judges' bungalows and other state buildings at huge cost. You tell us we are just providing paltry seed money, and now we have to cough up $25 million. If our president made a promise to God, why force this down the throat of the ordinary Ghanaian suffering excruciating hardship, who couldn't give a toss whether or not we have a cathedral? Our elders did say, I've heard some people in defense of the National Cathedral Project quote Jesus and the Bible and say, the poor you always have with you. They forget the same Jesus went about doing good to everyone, that he said, Whatsoever you do to the least of these, my brethren, you do unto me. I'm actually imagining Jesus living in Ghana in 2022 and wondering, as a Catholic Christian, whether he would say, let's blow some $25 million on a cathedral for my Father in heaven. Or rather say, let's work at alleviating the lot of our people, the sick, the destitute, the needy, the suffering, the very people Jesus lived and died for. One of the biggest malaises we suffer in this country, Ghana, for, is irresponsible leadership. Leadership not by example, but by right. The law says declare your assets. What do our leaders say? We'll do so, if and when we feel like it. The people by and large say, we need cheaper fuel, cheaper fertilizers for farming, better roads, protection from flooding. The leaders say, let's build a national cathedral. Then you can go there and pray so that God will grant you all these things you yearn for. In other jurisdictions, the national kitty is for all. Here, that poor kitty is ravaged by those in power who brazenly siphon state resources with both hands and feet. In other prosperous nations, the state works for the people so they can be even better. Here, the reverse is true. Citizens work so leaders can live large, grow fat on the very goodies they ought to be spreading round, for the benefit of all. Some say we are cursed. I disagree. We are rather lacking in wisdom. That's what we are. A nation that has the gold, the diamonds, the oil that we have has no business being this broken. Our gold and other precious metals, the diamonds, the oil, and all the other natural resources we have are finite. They will, unfortunately, not last forever, like everything in Sir John's will. This is why we must protect what they rake in for us, for the benefit of future generations as well. We're expending $350 million, the equivalent of 2.5 billion Ghana cedis on a project which some claim, that is the National Cathedral, will gain for us $95.5 million over a period of 5 years after it's done. There are absolutely no guarantees this will happen. In the meantime, only God knows when we'd have to cough up some more seed money for this monstrosity of a cathedral. While many of our people still languish in poverty and lack, how can we be this wicked to our own selves? Just last night, a colleague of mine right here at work, whose mother was sick, went to a hospital facility and couldn't even get a bed initially, until some strings were pulled. Yet we feel we can afford to expend $25 million on a cathedral in a country where people give birth on the bare floor, where children study on the bare floor, where children have no textbooks, in a country where we cannot provide 45 million Ghana cedis for Shraj to fight corruption, but we can provide 4 times of that for a national cathedral in our economic state. Let's say our prayers, shall we? In a country in which some 3,000 nurses have fled in 2022 alone, surely you could find better avenues in which you could pump $25 million, especially when those nurses left because of poor working conditions. That sum could have saved us many of our nurses. In a country where some children in some parts of the country do not even know what a computer looks like. A country where some parts still aren't connected to the electricity grid. Some parts still are not connected to the national water supply in the 21st century. Leadership, true leadership, is not rocket science. As I end, let me just pause here. I want to walk you through this so that you realize I'm not just running my mouth. There's a lot of fact behind what I'm telling you. Let's pay attention to this. I'm talking about assets declaration, and I'm also talking about the National Cathedral. After this breakdown, it will give you a lot of food for thought. Now, President Akufo-Addo said in 2017, I declared my assets within 2 weeks of my inauguration, and so has the Vice President. The ministers have declared their assets, and I am insisting that all those required to do so under the law should comply. But did that happen? At least 93 government officials did not declare their assets, and this we know for a fact. In terms of the National Cathedral, the promise was that the National Cathedral project was proposed by government in March 2017 as a physical embodiment of national unity, harmony, and spirituality. The target, it would cost us $350 million, the equivalent of 2.5 or 2.3 billion Ghana cedis. Let's go back to what Pius Hajide, then Deputy Minister of Information, said to us in November 2018. He said, quote, It is not correct that the state was going to be wasting public resources on building that cathedral. Building of that cathedral will primarily be funded by voluntary contributions from the Christian community, philanthropists, and with grants from development partners. We didn't know at the time just how much would be involved. But in 2019, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta said, "Mr. Speaker, the state is facilitating this process by providing the land, the secretariat, and seed money for the preparatory phase." Now let's do the breakdown so you really understand what is happening. What problems can $25 million solve? How many nurses, for example, can it pay? The average salary of a nurse per month is what you're saying, $400, the equivalent of 3,200 cedis. The number of nurses this could have paid in a month is 62,500. The number of nurses in a year, 5,208. And the number of nurses in 2 years, 2,604. If you consider that 3,000 nurses have left on the back of feeling that we are not paying them well, we could have done twice of their number, almost. How about what problems it can solve for NAPCO trainees? They've been complaining too. The total number of trainees is 100,000. The average salary per month is $88.60 or 700 cedis, equivalent. The number of trainees they could have paid in a month is about 3 times the number, 282,167. Number of trainees in a year, 23,518. And in 2 years, 11,759. But let's consider, same amount of money, nothing has changed. If we wanted to construct roads with it, we know that the cost per kilometer of road, according to the roads minister himself, is that amount, $189,274 or 1.5 million Ghana cedis. The number of kilometers this could have constructed is 132. And if you look at the number of 10-kilometer roads it could have constructed with a surplus, that would have been 13. Think of it this way. The stretch from Accra to Cape Coast is 147 kilometers. This is 132 kilometers. It means that this sum of money could have almost provided, in fact, it would provide 89.7% or 90% of the Accra to Cape Coast stretch, a good quality road from Accra to Cape Coast. What problems could it have solved in terms of our school feeding? And I'll wrap here. We know we pay, 97 pesos per student. The number of students benefiting are 1,693,698. Stay with me. The amount per student is 97 pesos. The amount per student per year is 354 cedis, or the equivalent, $44.67. The number of students this could have catered for in a year is that 5,596,597. And in a period of 2 years, you would halve that, 2,798,298. So Ghana 4. Our leaders failing to declare their assets. A national cathedral at 25 million. Worth it? My name is Benjamin Akapo. These are my blunt thoughts for you, raw and unedited on a Friday morning. Do stay with us. Up next, we are talking about greening Ghana.
Thank you for staying on the AM show. It's now time to talk about greening Ghana. And over the years, our forest and land space have been degraded. Now, with the effect of climate change in mind, government is seeking to mitigate the consequence of degrading forests. The Green Ghana Initiative, according to the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abujinapo, will create a collective action towards restoring degraded landscapes in the country, mitigating climate change, and inculcating in the youth the values of planting and nurturing trees and the associated benefits. Today, the project, or let me say the second phase of the project continues. I would have conversations around that and bring you that live event. We know that it started last year. Some trees were planted. Well, to join me have this conversation on the importance of this initiative is Yasmin Helwani. She is CEO of Green Butterfly, and Dr. Dixon Adomako-Kisi, he's MP for Anyaso Tum, and he's on the Environment Committee of Parliament. We've also got Norbert Agbetriku. He is with Save River Dye. Thank you all for joining the program. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Yasmin, and I'm sure personally you've done a lot with regards to works on green in Ghana. Tell me what your experience has been and the challenges as well.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to everybody and best wishes for today, Green Ghana Day. Today, Green Ghana Day is not the same Green Ghana Day as most of the ones that I have been involved in, mainly because of the speed at which we are losing our green spaces in Accra and the need for us to come out and speak about it. My experience in the past, I've had both positive and challenging experiences. I don't like to see anything as negative, but more like a learning process. So in the past, we have done a lot of tree planting and projects to assist with Green Ghana. And even last year, I was part of the planting exercise that happened at the Ramsar site with all the ambassadors and dignitaries. And it was a very big occasion hosted by the Forestry Commission. My observation is that we need to follow through with what we do. Okay, now when we go places to plant trees, it's not just to put the tree in the ground and walk away. It's to also have people who are going to be able to take care, visit those trees and nurture them to be able to stay, planted and stay long. So one of my challenges, or one of the challenges I have faced is, excuse me, there's a plane passing by, is the follow-through, is the aftercare, and, the genuine interest in the planting of trees. So I'm just hoping that today's activities will help us to be more informed and also bring us together in unity as we speak out about protecting our green spaces.
And talking about bringing us together in unity, I think it's worth mentioning that we are having leaders, traditional leaders, we are having members of the clergy, we are having a former president who doesn't belong to the governing party take part in this process. Clearly, this is beyond party politics and it's about saving our greenery. It's interesting you mentioned the Ramsar site because I was just about to ask you how you feel as an advocate for greening the country when you hear stories that have to do with countering our efforts at greening the country. So here we are as a people. We've determined that this is what we want to do. We're going to plant 5 million trees, and we started the process. It's a 5-year project. This is the 2nd year. But while we are doing it, we appear to not be paying too much attention to the existing trees. And so it's almost as if we are doing something which is counterproductive. How do you feel about that?
Certainly. I feel that what we are doing is definitely counterproductive. I mean, you can't compare, a number of people going out to plant trees to the declassification of like an entire forest zone, an entire forest reserve. We are literally cancelling out what we've been doing to protect the environment. When it comes to the Ramsar sites, first of all, my observation last year is that we planted trees that were not the trees that we should have planted in that place. Now, the site itself is an ecological asset. And over the years, I grew up watching the birds around that lagoon, if you know the Labadi stretch from Osu all the way up to the Tema, that beach road. There are these swamps located along that road, especially the Sakumono area where the birds come in to, graze and eat before they actually fly across the Atlantic Ocean. These birds don't eat coconuts, okay? But we were out there planting coconut trees. So one of the things that I would like to say is we need to do our research. We don't need to just jump up at any moment and say, oh, we need to plant trees and go and start. No, we need to know what exactly we are doing for our efforts to be productive. So again, we have to just do our research, we have to do our groundwork, and we have to protect, like you said, the existing spaces. Now, Achimota Forest is of concern. As of this morning, we are speaking about the Achimota Forest. That's our main concern this morning. Because Achimota Forest, I personally grew up next to the Achimota Forest. I played in the Achimota Forest as a child with my brothers. I know that is probably my earliest encounter with nature. That is where I started as a naturalist, as somebody who appreciated nature, because I moved out of Osu to Jowulu. And moving there was nothing much there. The development at that time, there was nothing much. So I got to experience Achimota Forest. And today we are here to say that we do not want Achimota Forest to be declassified. We want the president to rescind his executive instrument and to return the Achimota Forest to its status as a forest reserve. Please, 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 if you want to do an eco park, the Efwa Sutherland Children's Park is waiting for you. We have been waiting. I also went to Richard School, and I've seen Efwa Sutherland Park remain and deteriorate. I've been playing in the Efwa Sutherland Park also. So if they want to do an eco park, they should go to Efwa Sutherland. Our children will be happy to have an eco park there.
Really a passionate appeal there by Yasmin. Well, let me bring in Dr. Dixon Adomako-Kisi. He's MP for Anyaswotum and former member of the Environment Committee of Parliament. But before I bring him in, just a quick correction. So when the project was launched last year, there was a target of 5 to 7 million trees, and we are told that we exceeded that. So for this year, 2022, we are hoping to plant at least 20 million trees. Very ambitious, isn't it, Doc?
It is. And let me start off by commending JoyNews for bringing this to all of us, our attention. I think the media has a huge role in terms of making people aware of the need to plant a tree. So I'll commend JoyNews for that, and more importantly, yourself. Now, as I've listened, there are two things I want to do today. I want to talk to the average person in Ghana and encourage them to do their very best to at least plant one and nurture one. And that is the person I want to talk to today, that if you're out there and you're listening to JoyNews, regardless of the challenges in terms of the global climate changes, I'll beg of you that, when the last tree dies, we are dead. The trees naturally are the, let me say, lungs for Earth, Mother Earth. It breathes in and brings out good air for us. We do the reverse. We take in the oxygen and we bring out carbon dioxide. So that relationship between man and tree is very important. So I'm here to plead with the average Indian. We are very best as we plant and nurture one tree today. Now, regardless of the location, I'm even for those who plant in front of their houses or in their houses. And I think in as much as government is pushing for various agents, I think that if it's in your house, you're more likely to nurture. If it's by your house, you're more likely to nurture. And that completes the cycle for us. Now, the other key thing, and hear me out, the minister is doing a marvelous job. I think that it's commendable in the sense that he sustained the movement for planting trees. And I must also commend him on that regard. And on that note, this is my thought. As the good book says, you don't put good things under the table. I mean, if it's good, you put it up for everybody to see. And that is my thoughts about the Achimota Forest. As it stands, personally, I find it very difficult to go through the Achimota Forest because there's litter, because people defecate there, because of safety. And I think that if we want to expose Achimota Forest to a lot more people in Ghana, and for that matter, the outside world. Then an approach of remodeling the place, keeping the integrity of the environment, and making it more safe and secure for students to go through and see the natural beauty, for average Ghanaians to go through and see the natural beauty. I think that is commendable. And mind you, it's going to be done with one key thing in mind: preserving nature. And we can't go wrong doing it in a fashion that all of us at any point in time can go through the park, see the beauty of Achimota Forest. What good is it to hide it? What good is it if we cannot have tour of the forest, which is structured, well organized, well funded for a lot of university students and students in primary to come and see. The argument I want to make, as it stands, National Theatre is beautiful. As it stands, International Conference Center, beautiful. As it stands, Kakum Park. What arguments did we make when we were making Kakum Park? A lot of people were against it, but as it stands now, we enjoy Kakum Park when we go, because at least there's been some additional man-made canopies, man-made trails for us to appreciate Kakum Park. And on that note, I really think that let's be mute on some of the noise, and let's look at it from the glass half full standpoint, not glass half empty standpoint.
All right, Doc. So you did mention and you admit that there are people who are destroying the forest by littering, people are defecating, and you believe that the way to solve that problem is to do something with the forest. Even though you didn't explicitly say it, I'm sure you mean that we could go ahead with plans to, develop the place, allow for tourism and all that. But Doc, isn't it possible to protect the sanctity of the forest without necessarily allowing for human activities in there?
I think that, as she rightly said, her exposure to the forest made her more naturalistic, or a naturalist. And I think that we owe it to future generations for people to have access to Achimota Forest and be able to connect with nature.
No, are you referring to what Yasmin said when you said her exposure?
Yes.
Okay.
Her exposure to Achimota Forest has made her what she is today, and she's very passionate about the environment. And likewise, many anthropologists will be created out of this initiative. And when I say anthropology, as you largely know, is huge, and a huge deal in other parts of the world. Anthropology is a return to our past, is a return to nature, to understand and to guide us for the future. And I really think that the beauty of Achimota Forest should not be hidden. It should be captured, well televised, made readily available for not just 10 people who go to Achimota Forest to pray, or 10 people who go there to do nefros activities. But I think that the state owes it to all of us. I've been to many parks in the world. Central Park is one example in New York, and it is beautiful. The vegetation, the pathways, the man-made waterways, I mean, it's beautiful, serene. And if you have a bad day and you go to Central Park, you'll be amazed. And nature has a way of working on our psyche. Nature, green is good for the eye, green is good for the heart, and I would stand by my word any day that let's develop it with the mindset of keeping the integrity of the forest intact, and more importantly, making it safe and secure for average Ghanaians to enter the park without fear. As it stands now, I have to be honest, entering Achimota Forest, not knowing what I'll face, be it somebody trying to snatch my phone, be it somebody trying to threaten my life, I don't know. As it stands, it is difficult. But I think that if it is well developed, we have a tour, we have a guard handling the place 24/7, lit up so that even around 6 p.m. it's accessible for people to observe nature that late. My goodness. And you know one key thing, those who like to run, those who like to exercise by walking, it will be very good for their heart, and it will be a nice place for all of us. Instead of going to the gym and being cooked up in a small place, Achimota Forest will be lovely for our elderly people who want to just go for a walk on a park and exercise their lungs and exercise it for their hearts. So I'm all for all this development, keeping in mind, like I said, maintaining the integrity of the forest with minimal interference.
All right, Doc. Let me bring in a gentleman who has also been working a lot when it comes to the push for better attitude towards greening Ghana. Norbert Abetriku is with Save River Dai. Thank you so much for joining the program. And your organization has nursed some seedlings to help in the Green Ghana Day. Tell us how that is going. Are people picking up the seedlings? Do you get the impression that people are excited about this as much as you are?
Everything is going on here well. And we are also preparing for the Green Ghana. We have nursed about 1 million seedlings here, and we are ready, very much ready to set off to site to start planting. The MC is on its way coming, and everything is set to go for the Green Day.
And besides yourself, the minister over the past few days has been encouraging people to pick up seedlings from Forestry Commission district offices and other vantage points across the country. Are people coming to you for seedlings? Is there excitement about this project?
This section are all in taking seedlings, individual corporate bodies, schools, churches, they are all rushing in, taking seedlings from us. I'm so happy to be part of this Green Ghana.
All right, I'll come back to you. Let me go to Yasmin. Yasmin, you heard what Dr. Adumakun Kisi said. He thinks that, well, you benefited from the forest, you had access to it, that's why you're who you are today. So let's create something nice without damaging or affecting the integrity of the forest, and also give other people the opportunity, instead of leaving it to people to come and damage and do whatever they want to do with it. Do you buy into his idea? Has he been able to win you over to the other side?
No, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm actually surprised by this idea that we can actually have a forest reserve and still go in there and develop it for tourism. The Achimota Forest is not a tourist location. It is a forest reserve. Now, if you do your homework, you realize that forest reserves are meant to be kept intact. Okay, now for people to visit the forest reserve, there's no problem at all. All we need to do is protect the space. You don't have to go and put concrete down to protect a forest. You don't have to go and put buildings there to protect and to clean up the forest. All you need is your security personnel. You need some policemen, you need some guards, you need to hire forest rangers. I lived in Canada for 8 years. We had so many reserves. They are protected by rangers. You go in there, you can go and jog, you can jog by the river, you can enjoy nature at its the way nature is. You don't have to go in there and go and build and put up businesses in a forest reserve. You can, go and check in even the UK, and he mentioned New York, who has declassified in those areas, who has taken a reserve that has been reserved for so many years and suddenly declassified it and say it is no longer a reserve and open for tourist development. I don't think that is it. Now, let's go to green spaces. Are you telling me that whole area, we have Mofra Park. Mofra Park is open for business at Abelenkpe. You can go there, you can go in, you can jog. We have a park inside Jowlu, South Jowlu. You can go there, go and play football, you can move around or whatever. Achimota Forest became the way it is because it has been neglected and left to run down for so many years. There should be people in there protecting the forest. Our lawmakers, our policemen should be in there protecting the forest. So if you tell me that developing a forest reserve is the way forward, then I'm sorry, because these are the lands of Accra. Now, let me just take a quick minute to give you the history. Myself, my mother is a Ga from Gamashi. Now, what I want to speak now is about the people of Gamashi. That area, okay, means deep valley. At the time the Gans came in and settled in Accra, that area was seen as a receptacle, a valley that is receptive to green, that grows. You see, when you have a valley, the rainwater collects, and that way there's a lot of vegetation, a lot of trees survive. So that was the greenest belt that we had in this whole area. And so the elders said that we should not inhabit the area. In fact, in the beginning, we were not supposed to even go and build there. And you will testify, you will be my witness, that the place is now prone to flooding. Jowulu, Roman Ridge, South Jowulu, if you live there and it rains, you are going to be flooded, okay? Because that is the way the place is built. So originally, our elders gave this space to the government of Ghana for protection, to maintain it as a natural forest reserve. I myself, living in Jowulu as a child, maybe we were not even meant to go that close. But you see that over the years, encroachment has slowly, taken over the space. The last thing we have left in that area for eco preservation is that forest reserve. Let us protect it. We can continue to, present it as a tourist attraction without all the declassification and without all that development talk.
Yasmin, really, really passionate CEO of Green Butterfly. So, someone may be sitting at home saying, oh, all this climate change thing, all this blah, blah, blah is a hoax. In fact, we even have people, not even here in the West, who think that this whole climate change agenda is just thrown in to put fear into people's hearts and minds. What would your response to such a person be? Someone who says, oh, nature will find a way to take care of itself. Let's just go about what we go about.
Yes, of course. Nature will definitely find a way to take care of itself. If you want to know what is going to happen, if you continue to ignore the warnings about climate change and about deforestation, just take a trip to northern Ghana. Just take a trip towards the Sahara. It is moving in. The desert is closing in on us. Deforestation is real. And what happens is that this planet takes care of herself. We are not coming here to destroy her. She will destroy us first. You understand? So if you are going to wait for the entire forest cover to be removed, we are going to end up with hotter climate. Already over the past few years, I have a friend who has been checking the temperature since 1978. And he has confirmed that the temperatures throughout Accra and even now Ebri and Eastern region and all these surrounding areas has warmed up tremendously, at least 8-degree difference in the past 20 years. So what is going to happen is it might take some people by surprise, and it may not take some of us by surprise, because what is happening is that the more we cut the trees, the desert is moving closer. We're going to get hotter. It will be more difficult to plant crops. Now, when you plant the crops, the sun will burn them. You can ask the farmers who are already experiencing this heavy sun issue, high UV. If they plant the crops, they have to keep watering and keep at it. Otherwise, the crops will die before they are even a month old. So these are the things that we are facing now. And if we do not wake up, okay, wake up. And when I say wake up to yourself. Wake up to your inner self. And if you wake up to your inner self, you will understand that nature is part of you and you are also part of nature. So let us preserve this beautiful vegetation we have as sub-Saharan Africa. We are blessed with everything, all resources. Let us protect our green spaces. Please, let's protect our green spaces.
Dr. Dixon Adumaku-Kisi, you are in Parliament, and she made mention of a few places like Ebri, and it brings to mind a concern that has been raised. So in some parts of the world, yes, you're allowed to develop certain areas, but other places are earmarked for no development at all. You're allowed to keep the place green, also because of the importance for us as humans. Look at what's happening in Ebri, Abokobi, and all these areas. Would you want us to push for a law or something of the sort that says these places are no-go areas in these particular communities? Let's have every community having a certain size or tract of land, just having greenery. Is it something we could consider?
Well, that is up for consideration. And let me just plea with my other guest that, I mean, I would hate to walk through Achimota Forest and not have a place to, urinate, or not have a place to move bough. And that is key to keeping the place's integrity intact. And I really think that, I may be considered a progressive environmentalist more so than a non-pragmatic one. And I say that because to sustain the work around Achimota Forest, this is the best reasonable path for us.
But Doc, before you proceed, hello Doc, sorry to interject, but before you proceed to answer my question proper, there are other forest reserves in this country. I'm just a simple Google check. We have the Bointano Forest Reserve. There's the Asu Bima Forest Reserve. If we want to let people get, acquainted with nature, can't we explore these other places? Talk about Kakum National Park and all these other places without necessarily going into the Achimota Forest. Can't we say as a people that, okay, you know what? We've already interfered with some forests and parks and all that. For Achimota Forest, let's declare it a no-go zone. Can't we consider that? Must we necessarily go in there to protect it, so to speak?
No, I think that in the interim, let's look at what people are doing to the forest. People go there to pray, they litter with packs of water and bottles of water.
Sorry, Doc. I'd love to hear you, but unfortunately, we have to cross over to the Ifwa Sutherland Children's Park, where the event is happening. The Lands Minister is speaking. If you can just hold on for me while we all listen in, and I'll come back to you to take your concluding comments if we have time.
Today is Green Ghana Day, and I want to thank you sincerely, Mr. President, for your extraordinary leadership and your continued support to the efforts of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and above all, for introducing this bold and ambitious initiative to build a more sustainable and greener future for our country. Distinguished guests, the importance of trees to our survival and the survival of the planet cannot be overemphasized. It is for this reason that Goal 15 of the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, which the President of the Republic has the privilege to co-chair its eminent group of advocates, and joins us to, quote, protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss, end quote. Mr. President, in our bid to discharge our duty of managing the forest and wildlife resources of our country, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and its agencies have adopted a two-pronged approach. The first approach is to protect our existing forest and wildlife resources by halting deforestation. Accordingly, we have suspended all recognizance, prospecting, and/or exploration activities in forest reserves, except in exceptional circumstances. We have placed an outright ban on the harvesting, salvaging, trading, exporting, and importing of rosewood, and effective 2nd July 2021, we ceased the issuance of the Convention on International Trade and Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES permit, which is required to legally trade in rosewood on the international market, where the cartels involved in this business ply their trade. The Forestry Commission has established a rapid response team, which is working with other security agencies to ensure strict compliance with these bans and to clamp down on all illegal logging activities. The Commission has also introduced a solar-powered electronic wood tracking system, which enables it to track wood from the forest till its final disposal, as well as a digital property mark and registration system, which allows loggers to register and renew their property marks from the comfort of their homes. We are also undertaking policy and legislative reforms to strengthen forest law enforcement. At the last sitting of Parliament, we laid before the House a wildlife bill to revise and consolidate the laws relating to wildlife and protected areas to bring them in conformity with existing policies in the sector. We have signed a voluntary partnership agreement with the European Union, and we are implementing the Forest Law Enforcement Governance and Trade FLEG Action Plan to ensure that timber on the domestic market are sourced, processed, and traded legally. Already, Mr. President, your Cabinet on 31st March this year granted approval for the conversion of 156 timber concessions and permits into timber utilization contracts, TUCs, for consideration and ratification by Parliament. By the time we complete this process, we will become the first African country to implement the European Union's requirement to trade in timber and the second in the world next to Indonesia, and it will be a major boost to the fight against deforestation and forest degradation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also implementing the Joint Framework for Action, which we signed in 2017 with 36 cocoa and chocolate producing companies under the Cocoa and Forest Initiative, CFI, to halt deforestation and forest degradation in the cocoa value chain. The 2020 Annual Progress Report shows a lot of successes in this area. And through the Forest Investment Program, we are addressing the drivers of deforestation and forest degradation in the high forest and transitional zones to enhance carbon stocks and improve the livelihoods of rural communities. We are also aggressively implementing the Ghana Red Plus strategy to ensure that specific ecological zones of our country and their economic activities are linked to sources of climate finance based on their unique drivers of deforestation. Mr. President, in October 2019, you graciously launched the first program under the Red Plus strategy, the Ghana Cocoa Forest Red Plus program, to restore our lost forest cover in the high forest zone, increase cocoa yields, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And in February this year, the Vice President launched the Ghana Share Landscape Emission Reductions Project to, among others, increase the share tree population in the Savannah Ecological Zone, restore degraded lands, create small and medium enterprises for women in the share value chain. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, given that we have already lost over 80% of our forest cover since 1900, our second approach to the management of the forest and wildlife resources of our country is an aggressive afforestation and reforestation program to complement the work we are doing to halt deforestation. Between 2017 and 2021, a total of 547,891.7 hectares of degraded forest lands were cultivated under the Ghana Forest Plantation Strategy through initiatives such as the Youth in Afforestation Program, the Modified Tonga System, private sector plantation, and donor-funded plantation. This is far in excess of the 157,300 hectares of forest cultivated between 1963 and 2016, a whooping period of 53 years. In addition to the above, the Forestry Commission has developed 87 hectares of rosewood plantation in 8 forest districts, namely Tamale, Bupe, Bole, Yendi, Kintampo, Sunyane, Ofinso, and Nkawie, as part of measures to prevent the extinction of this precious wood species. The Forest Plantation Development Fund, on its part, has cultivated some 407 hectares of forest in the Ashanti, Bono, Eastern, Oti, and Volta regions. The fund is also supporting the protection of river bodies. River Dae, Under the Forest Investment Program, we have secured a $7 million World Bank loan to support private investment in forest plantation. Some 85,000 hectares of forest will be planted under this scheme. In October last year, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the government chair. Mr. President, under the Forest Investment Program, we have secured a $7 million World Bank loan to support private investment in forest plantation. Some 85,000 hectares of forest will be planted under this scheme. In October last year, Mr. President launched the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program, which, among others, seeks to reclaim degraded mine lands and return them to viable agricultural lands. And under the Ghana Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Mining Project, we are pursuing further reclamation efforts to add green cover and provide employment and income for local communities. Ladies and gentlemen, and to seal the future of our country's forest cover, last year, Mr. President launched the Green Ghana Project to create enhanced national awareness of the necessity for collective action towards restoration of degraded landscapes in the country, inculcate values of planting and nurturing of trees in the youth, mitigate climate change, and beautify our communities and environment. President Akufo-Addo led us on this maiden occasion to plant over 7 million trees. And this morning, the President is here again to kickstart today's nationwide tree planting exercise and lead us to plant at least 20 million trees, 10 million of which will be planted in forest reserves, and the remaining 10 million in off-forest reserves, including watersheds, boundaries, office compounds, and sites within communities such as parks, roadsides, homes, farmsteads, churches, mosques, schools, and other significant areas. Given the very ambitious nature of our target, we have had to mobilize 20 million seedlings, distribute them, get them planted, and develop a framework to nurture them to maturity. I want to thank the National Planning Committee, chaired by my able Deputy Minister, Honorable Benito Owusubio, the Forestry Commission, led by its dependable Chief Executive Officer, Mr. John Alote, the Ghana Armed Forces, Zoom Lion Company Limited, and all those who helped us to reach this far. Ladies and gentlemen, since 2018, we have planted 123.2 hectares of the Achimota forest, which is largely degraded, through the Youth in Afforestation Program to ensure that we bring the forest to the status of its name. On the Green Ghana Day last year, the diplomatic community planted a number of trees there. And today, after witnessing Mr. President's planting, I'll be joining the British High Commission and other citizens of the United Kingdom to plant in the forest in commemoration of the Platinum Jubilee of the Ascension of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. We intend to transform the Achimota forest to the likes of Hyde Park in London and Central Park in New York, so that Ghanaians can have a true forest enclave in their capital city. Mr. President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the many years of inaction has made the urgency of tree planting more important now than ever. The success of this year's exercise is very crucial to sustainability of our planet and the future will bequeath to future generations. Let me conclude, ladies and gentlemen, by referring to the profound words of our outstanding president at the 26th session of the Conference of Parties, COP26, of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, held in Glasgow in November 2021, when he said, and I quote, "There is an urgent need to restore our forest resources as much as possible to their original state. We do not have tomorrow and the day after tomorrow to do this, and that is why we are acting now," end quote. Let us therefore join hands together and build a greener future. Green Ghana, let's go planting. I thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Ghana's Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Samuel Abu-Jinapor. Thank you ever so much for that warm note of welcome and for articulating the importance of this year's exercise. We'll receive with joy the presence of Ghana's Minister for Information, the Honorable Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. Please welcome him warmly. The Chair of the Green Ghana Project and the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources joins us, the Honorable Benito Owusu-Bio MP. Please, a round of applause. But our joy is made complete by the presence of the Government Chair, His Royal Majesty Nite Takitru II. Please welcome him warmly with a round of applause. We welcome you ever so warmly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the gift of this morning's occasion, the President of our Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
The Anglican Bishop of Accra, the Chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Greater Accra Regional Minister and Member of Parliament for Ayawaso Central, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and Member of Parliament for Damago, the Minister for Local Government, Decentralization, Rural Development and Member of Parliament for Okre, Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, and Member of Parliament for Sefirioso, Minister for Information and Member of Parliament for Fuase Ayeribi, the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and Chairman of the Green Ghana Project, the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, members of the Diplomatic Corps, NIGA, Nime, Name, fellow Ghanaians, ladies and gentlemen. A year ago, Ghanaians from all walks of life came together to plant trees across the country, marking the maiden edition of Green Ghana Day. We set for ourselves a target of planting some 5 million trees In fact, in the end, we planted some 7 million trees, 80% of which have survived and are doing very well. I want to use this opportunity once again to thank you all, my fellow Ghanaians, and everyone who contributed to the success of that program. Happily, Green Ghana Day has no political party coloration, as we all agree that we must leave generations unborn, no matter their political affiliation, with a greener, sustainable future. Ladies and gentlemen, this year our target is to plant at least 20 million trees. Even though 20 million may sound like a lot, it is nowhere near what we have lost over the years. Trees, and indeed forests, are necessary for our own survival and that of our planet. They furnish us with water, food, and oxygen, and they mitigate climate change to provide us with a livable climate. They prevent erosion, protect our water bodies from siltation and drying up, serve as sources of medicine, make available habitats for wildlife and microorganisms, constitute windbreaks, regulate atmospheric temperature and climate change, give us clean air for good health, and offer sources of livelihoods for many of our people. Globally, some 1.6 billion people depend on forests for their livelihoods. And in Ghana, some 85% of the population rely on forest resources for subsistence to satisfy their socio-cultural needs. Despite their importance to our existence, our forests are depleting at an alarming rate. Some 80 years ago, half of the Earth's surface was covered by forests. Today, with an estimated forest area of 4 billion hectares, forests cover less than 30% of the world's surface. In the last 3 decades alone, the world has lost 1,037,846,602 acres of forest, more than 10% of the current total forest area. More troubling is the current data which shows that globally, we're losing 150 acres of rainforest every single minute, 200,000 acres a day, and 79 million acres a year. And this is just rainforest. Here in Ghana, we've lost some 100,000 acres of natural forest in the last decade alone. Our timber industry, which generated jobs for thousands of people, is suffering. The odum, wawa, mahogany, sapele, and several other wood species of the timber industry are also depleting at an alarming rate. Apart from their economic value, forests are home to most of the Earth's terrestrial biodiversity and crucial to our fight against climate change. The climate crisis is said to be reaching a tipping point. We are advised by the experts and the teachings of the Paris Agreement of COP21 to keep global temperatures below 1.5 degrees Celsius in order to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. But at the current rate, global warming is projected to reach 3.2 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. But the experts also tell us that one of the surest ways of dealing with the climate crisis is through the preservation and development of forests and other nature-based solutions. As it is said, the lungs of the earth, forests play a crucial role in the sustainability of our planet and our life on earth by absorbing carbon dioxide and contributing to emission reduction. That is why in 2017, we joined several leading cocoa and chocolate producing companies and countries to sign the Cocoa and Forest Initiative Statement of Intent in London, where we undertook to halt deforestation and forest degradation in the cocoa value chain in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, the world's two biggest cocoa producing countries. Indeed, our commitment goes beyond halting deforestation in the cocoa value chain, but goes also to halting deforestation and forest degradation generally. Is articulated by the dynamic, hard-working Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Samuel A. Jinapor, Member of Parliament for Damango. We are embarked on an aggressive afforestation and reforestation program aimed at restoring our lost forest cover and halting the current rate of deforestation. It is in this spirit that I call on each and every one of you, whether you are a Ghanaian or not, insofar as you are in Ghana, to join us today to plant at least 20 million trees. I call on members of parliament, members of corporate Ghana, traditional leaders, entrepreneurs, teachers, nurses, doctors, lawyers, judges, workers, farmers, bankers, students, religious leaders, traders, civil servants, public servants, members of the diplomatic corps, and indeed, every person living in Ghana, as well as those visiting Ghana on Green Ghana Day, to help us plant these trees. Together, let us build a greener future for current and future generations of Ghanaians.
Plant massively in various locations, and by the close of the day, we can give a good account of trees planted. I thank you all for honoring our invitation, and may God bless us all. Green Ghana, let's go planting.
We're grateful to you, our indefatigable Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and the Chair of the Green Ghana Project, the Honorable Benito Owusu-Bill. Mr. President, Honorable Ministers of State, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at the end of this event, the President, in the company of the Minister, will proceed to plant the ceremonial tree, and thereafter we shall have other identifiable groups and individuals do same. To this end, I can only invoke the blessings of God Almighty on this great day, the Green Ghana Day, on the Green Ghana Project, on you, the President of the Republic, for this great vision, and upon us all in our homeland Ghana, that Ghana may be great, strong, and green. Shall we please rise for the anthem? Green Ghana Day. Green Ghana Day. Green Ghana Day. One recognition of a and another biography. Okay, bring it down, bring it down. It is true, it is true. And then what's it? Now that the President of the Republic has planted the ceremonial tree, we shall invite the Minister, together with the Regional Minister, the Head of the Civil Service, the Anglican Bishop, the Minister for Information, Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, the Minister for Environment, our sponsors, Access Bank, the FBN Bank, the Church of Pentecost, No!
set is 20 million trees for the year 2022. The aim is to deal with deforestation and ensure that we are able to green Ghana for the better. Let me engage some of the very important personalities who are here to observe the day and to also carry with them some of the seedlings to go to the various areas and plant trees. The boss of the National Development Planning Commission and then Honorable Yao Frimpong, Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture, are here with me, and I want to engage them more. Let me start with you from the perspective of the NDPC. How crucial is this exercise in terms of our development planning?
This is very, very important, and as you've said, crucial, in the sense that we at NDPC have the responsibility to make sure that our resources are protected and even the usage is also optimized. So here this morning, I was so glad that the President himself came here, led the minister to come and launch this process. 20,000 trees, it's no joke. And we're going to go ahead to do that. Last year we took part in doing this, and I've gone around almost all the regions thereafter, and I've seen these trees coming up, which makes the difference. It's not just planting, but planting and nurturing, and make sure that from seedlings they become trees. And I'm so glad. That's why this morning I joined this process. I came here with all my staff. So just after this launching, we're also going to the Nationalism Park to go and do the planting over there. And I'm sure that in all the rural areas, in all the forest areas, in all the savanna areas, this should go on. For National Development Planning Commission, we want this to become part of our national calendar, to be sustained. And so, not just for adults, but even for school children, so that as they are young, we cut them very young, we nurture them so that tree planting becomes a character that we can exercise. And not just the planting, but also nurturing them to grow to become trees.
We have been told that as a country we've lost 80% of our forest cover. Will you describe it as we being irresponsible? Is it negligence, or is it the fact that we have simply been just interested in depleting our forest?
I think there were a lot of things which were pulled together to grow this forest and to maintain them. The cultural element, the administrative element, the physical element, and more so, and most crucial, the relevance to the people of this country. We've seen it now. We are losing our rivers, we are losing our lands due to erosion, and the climate change is catching up with us. The seasons and the weather pattern is even changing. And all these are things which we can say that we have been responsible for that. It's good that we have seen it, we're turning around, and definitely, given what we've started now, we're sure that we're going to make a lot of difference. And the leadership which has been provided for this, the President himself, the Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources, and all natural resources, and all the other leaders who are here this morning, indicates that it is not just we are taking it serious, but it's becoming crucial and a more important element which is being prioritized for our national development. For us who are at the drawing table, what we can say is that we have prioritized this. That is why we are here today. Because when we lose the forest, definitely we will lose the nation.
So I'm sure you'll be planting trees yourself today?
Yes, I'm going to dirty my hands and do it. Because I'm doing it not for myself, but also for posterity and the future, and for the love of this country and the initiative which has been undertaken. So from here, I'm walking straight to the Nationalism Park with my whole staff of 80 of us to continue with the process, which has been ignited by our President and the Minister.
Thank you very much, sir. And that's the Director General of the National Development Planning Commission. He is leaving us because they also have an assignment to plant more trees. But let's talk to people who are directly affected by deforestation. And Mr. Honorable Yao Frimpong is a Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture. So we'll talk about the planting day, the significance of today's exercise. We'll look at the impact of deforestation on our forest cover, on our agriculture, and its major impact on food security in the country. So first, let me start with you, Honorable Yao Frimpong. Last year we planted, the target was 5 million. According to the President, we ended up planting 7 million. And 80% of the trees have survived, which is a very good indication. This year the target is 20 million, very ambitious one, and people are questioning whether we'll be able to realize it. How important and crucial is planting to address the issue of deforestation?
Yeah, thank you so much. Whoever conceived this idea of Green Ghana Day, that person must be a prophet. Because, you see, as the president was speaking, you heard him, the rate of depletion of our forest cover is having a direct impact on agriculture. Those of us at the Minister of Food and Agriculture have taken keen interest in this thing because we think that in times past, when there was forest, we didn't need much fertilizers. Recently fertilizers have become topical because of climate change. And the climate change has also affected even the nature of the soil that we have. Our forest cover is depleting so much. So whoever conceived that idea that we should bring back our forest is somebody that posterity will judge him in the right direction. We are here, we are saying that if the 7 million, 80% of the 7 million trees that were planted last year survived, this year the 20 million, I'm sure people are saying it's an ambitious target, but it is achievable. It's a target that is achievable. It's achievable because, this is the rainy season. And if you plant a tree around this time, you have the June rains, July rains, and some August drizzle. And then the second part of the year, we are going to have the September, October rains and November rains. Certainly, about 80% of these 20 million will survive. And this thing is happening simultaneously in all our regions. And once they are happening in all our regions, then it means in the districts, it means the 20 million trees that we planting, we are going to achieve it because it's going to be a continuous process between now and maybe August, September. The trees have been nursed, so they are there. And once they are there and people are eager to plant them, we are going to ensure that they plant them. And this year, significantly, there are what we call the economic trees, the mangoes, and then the citrus trees. These are trees that when you plant them today, in about 3 years' time, you begin to pluck them. And a lot of people express interest in planting some of these trees. And that's how come the interest is so high. And I'm sure by the end of this exercise, all the 20 million trees are going to be planted. And it's going to be good for agriculture because we want to bring back the forest to save our agricultural land that is being depleted at a very fast rate.
Now, let's talk about impacts of the continual depletion of our forests. I mean, for example, from a personal note, my late father was a timber merchant back then. So I grew up knowing Odum, Wawa, mahogany, and the rest. And I also realized that at some point during the business, when it was difficult to come by these commercial trees, especially Odum, I realized the impact it had on his sawmill and also the workforce. At some point, over 200 workers, and then they started going off one after the other until eventually there was no commercial trees, and then the timber industry folded up. And I'm sure that if you go to Kumasi right now, where the Kumasi Mall is, it used to be a major timber, entity, but because of the absence of trees, those, businesses have folded, and thousands of people lost their lives. But how it impacts on the agricultural sector? Can you walk us through the impact we are likely to face if we don't speed up the replantation of our forest cover?
Yes, you see, in the first place, I initially indicated that we didn't need fertilizers when we had forests. That's number one. And number two, you see, the effect of climate change is having a big toll on agriculture, where we cannot even predict the pattern of rainfall. In those days, we used to predict that May, June, July, we're going to have very good rainfall. So people plant in May, April, May, and then they have the good rains in June, July, and then we have good harvest in August, September. But it's no longer the case. It is all because the forest has been depleted. And because we cannot do a lot of irrigation agriculture in this country, we rely on the climate to favor us. How does that happen? It happens only when we have very good forest cover. So the impact of the depletion of the forest cover on agriculture is so huge The amount of money that we spend in buying fertilizers, look, those monies could have been used elsewhere to develop our country if we had the forest cover. That is very crucial. And then again, at the moment, the yield per acre, if you don't apply these fertilizers, has dwindled so much because the nutrition in the soil is gone because of the depletion of the forest cover. And then the economic trees, see, some of the trees themselves are fertilizers. As they fall down and people cultivate on those lands, they create a very good nutritional base for the plants to do well. Now they are not there.
Are we in any form of, concern for food security? I mean, the trees we are planting today will take years to germinate and then become, full-blown trees. Yeah, but presently, we've lost 80% of our forest cover. Exactly. Are we in any danger in terms of food security?
We are struggling, but we are not in danger. No, we are struggling.
What does it mean?
What it means is that we need to spend so much money to buy fertilizers so we can have the crops do well, so we can have good harvest to feed our people. Ordinarily, that shouldn't have been the case. So that's why I said we are struggling, but we don't have that kind of situation. Where 1983, the only time in the history of this country that I witnessed, and I am close to 60 years, that we had food crisis in this country was 1983. Bushfires all over the place. There was some long droughts. But since that time, we've not had serious food insecurity in this country. And with this one, we see we need to save the future. Those of us, this generation, who are alive today, we need to plant these trees to save the future so that they will not be telling this story that we are telling right now. In the future, when the forest comes back, agriculture is going to be saved because we are not going to spend so much money to import fertilizers. And moreover, because you see, population is increasing, and naturally we will need the forest products, that's the wood products, for a lot of things. Now we import a lot of our timber and the plywoods and everything from outside. It used to be the reverse in times past. So what has happened? This one in 15, 20 years time will come back, that Ghana will also become a net exporter of timber products, which, as you were alluding to earlier, in Kumasi, a lot of places in Asokwa area, was all sawmills. Yeah, sawmills. But where are we today? I mean, Bibiani Lumber and Lodging. I remember very well. I was a little kid. They were in Kumasi, Asokwa area there. A lot of timber. In my constituency, Mansoy Dubia constituency, we have about 3 forest reserves. If you go there right now, all those reserves are depleted. So we need to plant back these trees so we can have our forest cover. We can revive agriculture without much fertilizers. And then we can also have our access to our timber and timber products for export and for our own need, because population is increasing, the middle income is growing, they will need more of development, and we need wood. So what we are doing is a multifaceted approach for development, as the NDPC boss said. If we plant a lot of trees today, in 15, 20 years' time, it's not only going to be agriculture, but a whole lot of trees, especially with climate change. We will be saved. If you go to the Savannah zone, where we have the transitional zone, the good thing about Ghana is that is the zone that cashew does so well. And they are forming a forest cover there right now. So the advancement of the Sahara towards the forest belt is being halted now because of trees. So it is good that we plant these trees. That's why this exercise is so important, so crucial for every Ghanaian.
I know the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is neck deep into this because we have extension officers everywhere, so getting the salinity to them won't be a problem.
Exactly. They are spearheading this in all the 262 MMDAs, and that is good for us.
Thank you very much. Mr. Yao Frimpong is a Deputy Food and Agricultural Minister. So we'll wrap it here at the Ifwa Sutherland Children's Park. As you heard from the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, apart from, spearheading the planting of trees to mark the Green Ghana Day, they're also doing a lot to protect our forests. Just some few minutes ago, we announced a ban on rosewood. He actually strengthened the ban on rosewood and, gave the forestry Commission some new directives in terms of timber logging and all those issues. I'm sure that in the minutes and hours in subsequent bulletins, we'll be going through some of those issues. But the target here is 20 million trees for today and the days to follow. Last year was 5 million. They ended up planting 7 million. 80 of them survived. The target this year is 20 million. And the aim is to replenish our lost forest cover, which currently stands at 80%, which is really not good if you ask me. The impact of it on climate change, on food security is beyond our understanding. That's the more reason why this Green Ghana initiative has been rolled out. So back to you, Benjamin and Benny's in studio, and I'm sure that we'll have a lot to talk about as you move on the national tree planting exercise.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Elton Brobe, there, bringing us the interviews after the particular tree planting exercise by President Akufo-Addo to kickstart the national exercise. So our theme is mobilizing for a greener future. As you heard him say, 80% of our forest cover has been depleted over time. There are efforts, and one of them is this Green Ghana project to ensure that the story changes in the future. I've still got Yasmin Helwani with me. She is CEO of Green Butterfly. Earlier, we were talking about this project by government, also discussing other activities that appear to be counterproductive to this particular one. And she was sharing her thoughts with us, really passionate about greening Ghana. Yasmin, if you can hear me, we heard the president speak there. We also heard from one of our interviewees about the success rate of last year's tree planting. According to him, 80% of the trees have survived and are doing well. But I don't know what you make of our aftercare when the trees have been planted. I know the ministry, that's the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, started an initiative. After the tree planting, it was visit a tree. We don't know how many people were able to visit a tree. But just let me know from your side what you think or how you will rate our aftercare for these trees.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank our leadership for the, lovely speeches that they made this morning. I've listened to all the speeches that were made. Very, very nice. And of course, easier said than done. So I wish them all the best with the initiatives that they are, putting forward. In answer to your question, I personally, in my view, so I'm not speaking for anyone else here, have noticed that we do need more of the aftercare in, our work. But then let's come back. Let's not go too far before we actually think of the basics. Now, as your other guest rightly said, it's probably better to plant a tree closer to you, in your community, around your home, or in a park close to you. Now, when I listen to the speeches, I'm hearing references to places outside Accra. I'm hearing about foresting places, in other regions. And I haven't exactly heard, they are standing on the Efua Sutherland Park right now. I don't know if any of us has recently been to the Efua Sutherland Park to see the state of the park. I mean, that place would probably need some trees. I mean, it would be nice if the planting actually started there this morning. Anyway, when it comes to aftercare, I think we could really step up our game by decentralizing the tree planting process. We don't need to have people taking transport to go to far places to go and plant trees. Let me use myself as an example. When the Ramsar site was planted last year, I live in the Eastern region. And I was called to come and participate in Sakumono, okay? So I went, obviously, because I'm very interested in how many people can go even from Jowlu to Sakumono or from Osu to Sakumono to go and help plant in Sakumono. It is not sustainable. We need to decentralize these processes.
But Yasmin, I'm sorry to interject. We know that the free seedlings are available across the country. at various
now,
forestry
when you say
commission.
Across the country, be careful with that, because across the country, where
Yes,
are
and that's where I'm coming to just a minute. So if you go to the Forestry Commission at your district office or designated points nationwide, for example, last year we had the Church of Pentecost, jumping on board some schools and organizations. I remember last year when we covered it, we had schools and organizations being a part of the process. So yes, we are told you can go to your district office or you can pick it at vantage points. Here at Joy FM, there were seedlings here last year for people to come and pick. We contacted the Forestry Commission. This year we haven't had any seedlings. Maybe in the coming days we will. But I know that, I get your point, but I'm just saying that, yes, there is some effort to decentralize it. And we've done stories where people were able to access seedlings across the country. Also,
that is wonderful. That is wonderful. But before you continue, I want to talk about the price of even taking a trotro from Osu to Joulu or from Osu to 37 to go and pick up a seedling. So yes, Forestry Commission offices, we can go there and all of that. Do you know how I struggled to get trees last year? I had them privately given to me. So people say things. There was this WhatsApp message going around. We could call a certain number to go and collect trees. We called, nobody. We did everything possible to reach people to help us get trees. So if we, the ones who even have cars to drive and who are able to move easily, cannot even really get ourselves properly organized, what about the people who have to actually take 20 cedis and 30 cedis for transport to go? And do you think they will really make that effort? I think we need to work on planting seeds in the minds of our people rather than giving them fish. Let's give them the tools to fish with. It's not that difficult to plant a tree. You don't need Forestry Commission to plant a tree. We need education. We need people to understand what they need to do to green their immediate environment. And coming back to what a gentleman said about parks and the forest and all of that, why don't we create more parks in our communities? Parks and gardens are doing a great job trying to encourage people to grow flowers in their homes, grow plants, and they actually are encouraging us to be green and have more parks. So if you want to know how to adopt a green space, you can actually do that. Publicly, as a group, you can pick up a space and help preserve the space, plant more, and sustain our ecology.
So you were going back to the issue of aftercare, and we are told, there was a press and we are told that about 80 to 85% of the trees that we planted have survived. As somebody within the space, would you say that is an expected success rate, 85% of over 5 million trees, or we could have done something to up the percentage a bit?
No, I think 85% is a fantastic number, actually. I think 85% survival rate, and that is where we live. This is the blessing. You just look behind me. I have trees here over 60 years old that don't even need you to come and water them. They are naturally existing. They are holding water underground. They are preventing landslides and flooding. These are the things. So the aftercare issue, yes, we need to do the aftercare, but who is doing the aftercare? Who is providing us with the data? Who is telling us these things? Is it really 85%? It could be higher, it could be lower. Are we sure? Have they been all around to check all the trees that are being planted? It's impossible for our government officials to do this on their own. We need education, and we need the people to take charge of their immediate environment. So if you live in any particular community, you should be concerned with your particular community. Instead of running to go and plant a tree in Accra Central if you are living at Achimota or if you are living at Legon. So it is up to us to educate ourselves and to be able to support our government. Again, I'm going to come down to say that no country is built only by the government or only by the system. The citizens and the community will be the ones to build the country and to build our nation. So we are all in it together. We need to unite, we need to educate ourselves, and we need to work with our government. If they say this is really what they want to be doing, let's support them. But then again, please, to our government, we do not want double standards. Don't stand somewhere and tell us you're going to plant so many trees, yet you are robbing us of the very foundation, our forests that are already marked as forest reserves. That we will not be happy about. So we are begging our government, rescind Executive Instrument E144. Currently, we have eco-conscious citizens, we have Arusha Ghana, we have Youth Alliance for a Green Ghana, Sustainability Week. All these organizations are currently standing at the Achimota Forest. We are doing a surprise appearance. We are going to be showing our placards and the banners. We want Mr. Abujinapo to look at the messages as he passes by, to go and plant the tree in a place that is being declassified as a forest reserve. What an irony. Mr. Jinapo, please read all the messages along the way. And the British High Commissioner is also coming. Please pay attention to all the wonderful people standing and lining the streets and begging the president to rescind Executive Instrument 144. Save the Achimota Forest. Say no to the declassification of the Achimota Forest as a forest reserve.
Yasmin, in wrapping up my conversation to you, before we crossed over to the Air Force Sutherland Park, and I must also mention that a tree was planted there. You were wondering earlier.
One tree? One tree?
No, but I'm just saying, for the purposes of those who didn't watch, because you made a statement, and I would just like to say that a tree was planted there. We don't know if there's been a
Can I please clarify? Did you say one tree?
I didn't say one tree. I'm saying to you, Yasmin.
I'll be very interested to know how many trees were planted there today.
Yes, and so my colleague is on the ground. Elton Brobe is there. And so he'll be furnishing us with all the details. But at least what we saw on camera, we saw the president planting a tree. Okay. So that aside, before we crossed over there, Dr. Dixon Adumaku Kisi was with us, and I posed a question to him. While we are talking about protecting our forest reserves, there are in other advanced countries efforts to earmark or create new places or creating new reserves. I mean, designating those places as green areas in various communities. And I was trying to find out from him as a legislator what we can do in that regard. Look at Ebri, look at Abokobi, very green areas. But as you visit the place every day, you realize that the development's coming up and people are developing, people are building, they're receiving permits. But should we begin to look at, aside from having forest reserves, deciding that every community should have a certain hectare or acre of green space?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This question even already has its automatic answer without me opening my mouth. It is natural. We need to have spaces, not only even for conservation, which is the most important thing, but also for our children. I have 2 children who are privileged to be growing up in the arms of nature. They know what the plants are called. If they are having issues with their skin, they know what they can pick. Aloe vera if they burn themselves. And little things. We can educate our future generation into a better future. Okay, so in the communities, if we have parks, if we have green spaces that are earmarked, and I believe Dr. Kwame Nkrumah did such things when we first emerged as a state, as Ghana. We had so many green spaces and we had parks that are now being encroached on. So apart from the fact that we need to create these spaces, in fact, many of these spaces already existed for us over the years, and we are the ones who have destroyed these spaces. So in every community, it's important not even just to have a park, it's important to have eco activities like farming. We are living on the equator. We have sunlight all day long, all year round. We can grow crops. We can do so many things for ourselves. We need to wake up and bring development to our communities. And development starts with respecting nature.
I'm grateful that you could join us. Yasmin Helwani
Thank you for having
CEO
me.
of Green Butterfly. And you can just tell from her utterances that she's very passionate about this Greening Ghana project. Yasmin, we will stay in touch, especially with that surprise protest you're pulling up on the Achimota stretch. It will be good to hear what the British High Commissioner has to say, and also if we could get a response from the Lands Minister on your call for the EI or the decision to declassify Achimota Forest rescinded. Thank you once again. Earlier we had Dr. Adomako Kisi, who is MP for Anyasu Trom and also a rep from the Save River Dai, Norbert Agbe Triku. It's now time to hear what you have to say. Let us know what's happening in your community. Do you see a decentralized Green Ghana project? Is it as loud in your community as it is here in the capital and other regional capitals? Let us know. Are you planting a tree yourself? Do you appreciate or understand the reason for which we are embarking on this project? Also, earlier we heard from Benjamin, who was speaking about leadership in this country, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What are your thoughts? We'll be back to take those shortly. Do stay. Thank you for staying on with Bernice and Benjamin. We'll be taking your thoughts shortly. But before that, while we're talking about trees, you know, trees and water have a relationship. Water is life. It regulates your body temperature and keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water treated through strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have a perfect size for every occasion, 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. We've also introduced our special 19-liter jars for offices and homes. Now you just need to stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. Come on, grab a bottle of Awake Purified Water and get quality hydration. Awake Drinking Water, one for life. Now remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It's produced by Casapreco. Do call 026-235-1251 for bulk purchases. Benjamin?
Well, did you know that the income of a young entrepreneur from some selected businesses is exempt from tax for 5 years? Any young entrepreneur engaged in manufacturing, information and communications technology, agro-processing, energy production, waste processing, tourism and the creative arts, horticulture and medicinal plants does not need to pay any income tax on these activities for their first 5 years of operation. Now, a young entrepreneur engaged in a business that enjoys an initial 5-year concession benefits from the following applicable tax rates for an additional 5 years. Ready? Let's walk through them. Accra and Tema, 15 years, 15%, that is. Other regional capitals outside the 3 northern regions, you enjoy 12.5%. Outside the other regional capitals, 10%, and in the 3 northern regions, 5%. For further clarity and information, just reach out to your nearest GRA office, Ghana Revenue Authority, Integrity, Fairness, and Service. And just so you know, Ghana has developed double taxation treaties, DTTs, with countries such as the United Kingdom, Belgium, Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, among others, for the relief from double taxation on income arising in Ghana. Taxpayers benefit from tax credit facilities under the double taxation treaty. Shall we talk about homes, Bernice?
Yes, rent to own a 2, 3 or 4 bedroom house or beachfront villa in the new Accra city. Cities and habitats rent to own at a price you can afford and at a pace you can pay. Visit www.newaccra.ct for more details or call or WhatsApp 0555 530 300 or 0577 911 101 or 0557 054 635. The Plant Cities Extension Project, shaping Ghana's urban future. And this morning we've been shaping conversation. We'd like to hear what you have to say. Benjamin did something new today where he gave us, Benjamin's take? I don't know how you
I was sharing my blunt thoughts on matters of national concern. Two matters I picked this morning. The whole bit about asset declaration and the regime in our country per the law, and what we've been doing and how we've been failing to hold the feet of leadership to the fire of accountability. It boggles my mind that people in such pole position should be flouting this law. And then again, I spoke about the National Cathedral, the $25 million seed money, and what it could do for us alternatively. So you can share your thoughts on that. That will be ready online in a bit. But for now...
Yeah, for now, we'll take your comments on Facebook. Earlier, we took you to the Four Sutherland Children's Park, where we launched this year's edition of the Green Ghana Day. And a lot of you have been sharing your comments. While we do that, we'll wait for your calls as well. So Royal Gabi is sending us this from Ifyekuma. A call for responsible citizens. Let's help to recover and restore our lost vegetation and halt climate change together. Let's all join the campaign to plant 20 million trees across the country. Indeed, we are mobilizing for a greener future. And this is from Jerry Amor. Thank God it's Friday. Thank you so much for your kind words. Okay. Well, unfortunately, he's giving some congratulatory messages there. Stephen Blake says, I think we are making mockery about ourselves by planting one and destroying hundreds. And Benjamin, this is a conversation we were having. Like I said earlier during the paper review, when this was launched, one of my questions to the minister during that presser at the Information Ministry was, great initiative. I mean, we can't fault that. But what are we doing to ensure that we're not being counterproductive? Okay.
One step forward, two steps backward.
Then this year we are hit with the Achimota forest issue, and we heard Yasmin really speak about
passionately about that situation.
In fact, she's given us a hint of a protest that's happening with other green groups or pro-green groups.
And others.
And how they're going to be dotted along the stretch to the Achimota forest, where we're expecting the minister himself and the British High Commissioner to plant some trees alongside other dignitaries. So their call is simple. Rescind your decision to declassify the Achimota
EI 144 and all.
Because once you do that, then you're allowing for interference. You're allowing for people to enter and do whatever they want to do. And we've also been talking about also, besides the forest reserve, we know we have other green spaces in different communities across the country. People are developing, lands are being sold. Have we as a people decided that, look, let's make a determination in every community, this is the amount of, or this tract of land, or this size of land should be left green. I mean, if there will be compensations, they must be made, whatever the case, because who knows, 80% depleted.
When was the last time, Bernice, you checked on any of those green spaces? We barely have any green spaces, especially outside of Accra. I mean, Kumasi, yes, you will find some of
Yes, and if you go to parts of the eastern region, and even
the point is we don't have many green spaces, and the whole point is we should have more. We should have an enterprise. Look at parks and gardens. You know, do you know how many of our parks and gardens, even in Accra, have gone out? Whether they've been purchased by someone in some government or individuals that have been, makes no sense. So this whole drive, it's a good one, but there's a whole lot more that we can.
And talking about individual spaces in lands, maybe a group of people can come together to buy land and say, look, you're keeping it green, or create some eco park or something of the sort. Well, let me bring you more of those comments. Kwame Nkrumah, interesting name, says, very great green in our motherland, Ghana, but how green is the last greening? And we are told, there was a presser actually, we were told today that 80%, but during that press briefing, we're told that 85% of the trees survived. So General Azimo says, they plant 20% trees and keep destroying 80%, including rivers. He says, this is all drama. And George says, how is it that the government is walking in and he's welcomed by Adoad? Oh, goodness me. Interesting observation. This is from Nana Apia Akubi, joining the program from Nkranza South. Let's all support the Green Ghana project. The fate of the future generation must be a priority. Ghana, my beloved country. And Adam Kunya says, is this the priority of a government? or a county whose inflation rate is 27.6%? A strategy to just steal something he thinks. That there's also that bit of cost and how much it's costing us and who is paying for
No
this.
one knows.
Yeah.
No one knows how much this entire enterprise, no one knows how much the past one cost us, no one knows how much this is going to cost us.
Let me take Ghana Brain. He says tree planting too has turned into a national ceremony, and you know how we say everything in this country has to come with a flamboyant ceremony.
How else will we?
How else will we?
We have a caller from Kaswa. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name, please?
My name is Peter. I'm calling from Kaswa.
Your name is?
Peter.
Okay, all right.
Okay, please, it is a nice initiative by the president, but I want to find out if the other lady that Benny's interviewed, if they can decentralize, it's very, very good for us. And that is my latest suggestion. I also wanted to ask you if you could help me interview the Minister of Health. We are 2019 nurses and we have not been posted.
All right. Thank you very much, Peter. We will put that on the bill. And we've been joined by Opoku from Cape Coast. Hello, Opoku. Let's hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, Benny, today you talked about something about the Green Ghana project. You were saying that it would have been nice if maybe government could reserve some particular land. Pay or give what is supposed to be given to the landlord so that the portions of the land could be reserved and made green. That is a very brilliant, idea and suggestion. But then it will surprise you that rural housing, during those days, had lands reserved for government. And it will surprise you that this land, when it was given to government, the only thing the government could do was to endanger. Now, ownership of the land has become a problem. And even for rural housing to now even place ownership on the land has become a problem. So, I don't know, you being journalist, perhaps you could do investigation into that and see how government could reserve some of this land. It would have been better. It would have been best for, the country. That's my suggestion. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it, Opoku from Cape Coast. We have Moses, also from Mampong. Hello, Moses. Let's hear you.
Sometimes we wonder how these things come about. The work of Parks and Gardens and Forestry Commission needs to take this on. Considering the amount of money which is being used in planting these trees, could have paid those unemployed graduates. Because it needs to be a conscious effort. That is the core mandate of these institutions. So, honestly, when this becomes a national ceremony and all these things, because the ceilings are being paid for, who grew them? Meanwhile, we have a forestry commission, we have parks and gardens. What's the agriculture department in the university doing? What species of plant are we planting? These days, it looks like we're a country of mediocrity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moses, who joined the program from Mampong.
Well, do keep your calls coming through and sharing your thoughts. 0302 211 691 extension 2. It's rolling at the bottom of your screen. And let's know what your thoughts are. Green Ghana Day. How much better can we do in terms of greening our country? That's a very big question. And you notice a lot of people still asking questions about how much exactly are we spending and how can we quantify what we're doing in terms of the financial input. It's a very important question. We have Felix joining the conversation. Felix from New Ningo. Hello, Felix. Hello.
Words to tell Ghanaians about
Green Ghana today. Hello.
Felix, please listen to us on the phone, not on your TV, please.
All aspects of our life, our culture, our religious belief, all end up beyond making Ghana green. We live in the world that the religious people, we believe witches and wizards live in the tree. For that matter, we end up cutting that tree. The way we clean our environment, we use broom, the traditional broom, making the whole soil sakura. You understand? So when there is a little of rain, then it washes away the topsoil. That is manure to grow the grasses. So we need education about how to leave the trees. People will build, and the tree that is there, they will say, oh, it's affecting my foundation, it's affecting my building, and they will cut that tree. We are not in the agenda of making some part of Ghana green and the rest of Ghana not green. You understand? So our culture and the way we live also affects making Ghana green. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Felix from Nuningo. Let's hear Abigail from East Legon. Good morning, Abigail. Share your thoughts with us.
Good morning, Bernard. You look good.
Thank you.
And Benjamin Atakutu looks good.
Thank you.
Please, I love what government wants to do, but I don't understand what they are even doing actually. Because they are going to plant a tree, and the same people are going to cut them down. So, and spending so much on it, it doesn't make sense. So I don't get it, because when it rains right now, a lot of things happen. There's floods, there's a lot of chaos around, and they spend unnecessary money on unnecessary things. Yeah, we can plant the tree, but if you even tell us what kinds of trees, sometimes you can't plant any tree just like that. If they start and they impose it on us to at least plant this, why are we planting this? We should plant it in the right places, this and this. That's going to help us. But the unnecessary expenses, I don't get it. And the trees too helps us. Trees are good. But I don't really believe in this government, because they do this and they'll say this and do otherwise. So with this, it doesn't make sense to me.
Abigail, thank you for calling. We appreciate your thoughts. So Benjamin, it's Abigail hit the nail right on the head. So the benefits of greening Ghana goes beyond, climate. Okay, so you have, even in some instances where you have a very progressive society where you are your timber production is structured, while you fell the trees, you replace them and all, then you're sustaining jobs. But we are told that our timber industry is collapsing, and lots of thousands of jobs have been lost. And there's the other one about food. When we're talking about the cycle, we only think about us and the carbon dioxide and blah, 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 blah.
Which I was about to allude to, because even the purity, the quality of the air we breathe is also dependent on these trees.
But also food. Food is a big deal. And when the climate is affected, then food production is also affected. People have to invest more in artificial methods of, ensuring that the atmosphere is conducive.
It affects the entire ecosystem.
Exactly. And so we must look at this as a very, very important subject matter. And I was going to say that beyond what government is doing, individuals, people in our homes, we can contribute. Yes, we can contribute. And the thing is that, Benjamin, if you enter a green space, it's therapeutic. I don't know if you get that same feeling.
Everybody does. Anybody.
I feel that a lot of people don't pay attention to it, and that's why some people may think of.
It's because we're literally living in Accra in a concrete jungle. That is the problem. But let's quickly hear from Ibrahim in Israel. Ibrahim, good morning.
Morning.
Is it the Israel in Ghana, or you're actually calling us from Israel?
Yeah, I'm calling for Israel.
Is it the Israel in Israel, so to speak, or the Israel in Ghana?
Yeah, Israel is a nice place. I'm in Ghana.
Okay. All right, go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, Ghana is so beautiful, and good. I thank you for a good job this morning for helping us. Yeah, I think the media, you are the the next to the president. That's what I can just say. When we say, you say, but I think it's a good idea for us to plant a tree to just keep our environment. The trees is good thing. It's good thing. So we need to just support it. If not, like the promise and they will just promise us and they will not do it. We want to see action.
Right.
Since we need to support, see action.
Oh, right.
And I think it's a good thing. So we need to support and just take action and do everything according to how it's supposed to. And I have a very few issues too. Last time I came there, I couldn't meet anybody.
You came where?
I think. I'll try and come there.
Ibrahim, let's have this conversation off air. But thank you for coming around. We appreciate you. You know that when you come, you just look for Benjamin and I. I'm sure if you're around, we will see you. But let's take Reverend Samson, who is joining us from Akwetia. Good morning, Rev. Let's hear you. Hello? Do we have Reverend Samson on? Too bad. We seem to have lost Reverend Samson there, Benjamin. But before we took Ibrahim from Israel, we were talking about the importance of greenery, even to our health, the therapy at office.
Okay, so it appears, is that a caller on the line? CJ Plus from Wenchi. CJ Plus, a very good morning to you.
Good morning. Sure that should
interesting name.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, what are your quick thoughts?
In fact, the policy is a very good policy. And what I have realized is that the issue is not the kinky, but the issue is the fish we will use to eat the kinky. Planting the trees are enough. But what of bushfires and a lot of things that will not let the trees grow? We don't talk much about those things. Because the problem we have when it comes to the tree or vegetation is bushfires. The question is, what are we going to do? What education is going through that particular, so that this money we are using to plant these trees will not be a waste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CJ. We have our last caller, another Moses from Tema, this time Community 25. Moses, thank you for joining us. Your thoughts? Hello, Moses. Hello. Moses, yes, if you can hear me, don't listen to me on the TV.
Yeah,
listen to me
morning.
On the phone. Just go ahead with your submission.
Yeah, good morning. I'm very enthused about the program. Okay. I'm very enthused about the program. It's a nice program, a nice initiative. Looking at the climate change and all those stuff. So I think the citizens have to embrace this program and then master out all the planting programs and all those stuff. We just pleaded with the various forest department to be able to, as it is, make the trees available. We currently don't know most of the locations, so where we could go and get the trees. So please, they should be able to educate us and give us the locations so we could be able to access some of the trees and then plant it. I think it's a nice initiative by all standards. I think it's a nice thing. Thank you.
So once Moses has mentioned that, let me just say that you can pick up a tree seedling from the Forestry Commission district offices or designated points nationwide. I know that for last year's edition, there were some seedlings were left at the various malls across the country. I don't know if it's the same, but be on the lookout as you drive around. I'm sure there will be some signage to indicate if there are seedlings available where you are. But if you don't find any, just find a Forestry Commission district office around you and get a seedling to plant.
Okay, doke. So as we wrap the conversation, we're going to celebrate a few people. Happy birthday to Vivian Blay. And it's from Joseph Akablay. And to my very own...
But Joseph, your message is so simple and straight to the point, huh?
Yeah. What else do you want to see?
Some people will embellish it and, you know...
well, no
like
need
you
for
did yesterday.
Embellishment.
Yeah. But
to my nephew as well.
Okay.
Nicholas the Youngster.
Let me see if you embellish it or not.
AKA Papa. We love you. Uncle loves you. Okay. I do have, interestingly, today is the 10th of June and it's his 10th birthday.
Oh,
so
happy birthday, Papa.
Happy 10th birthday to you, Papa. God richly bless you. I will not end the show before Bernice comes in. Catherine Gordon of Catherine Garments, thank you so much for this outfit. Her number 0277580050. On Instagram, Catherine_Garments. On Facebook, Catherine Garments GH.
Well, and on that note, we end this edition of the AM show. We are really grateful that you could make time to join us. So we wish you the very best for the weekend. If you don't have any activity planned, maybe you can go tree planting. And always remember to stay safe. I like to say don't drink and drive. Also, it's
don't drink and plant a tree.
It's raining, so please be careful out there. Don't drive your vehicles into flat waters. You never know the current under there. It's a dangerous thing to do. Find a safe place if you live in a flood-prone area. Let's all stay safe. God willing, on Monday we meet again. Up next.
On that note, up next, Joy News Desk. And at noon, we bring you Joy News today. Do have the best of the weekend.
Take care.